Yes, 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 it is a Cashworthy podcast, and we are back. The big tree, Panya Ed Top. I am Big Steve, aka Last of Dying Breed, on Elon's Twitter, joined by the VP of Research, or VP the Magnanimous. He calls himself because he don't research anymore, so I'm cool with him being the Magnanimous. And EJ, the single sophisticated Sauvage, looking like
Mm.
uh looking like a convict over there, looking like Trump.
Hilarious.
It's what is today? It's Sunday,
June
June
30th.
30th.
June 30th, last day of Pride Month. Shout out to y'all. And right before the middle of summer, 4th of July is coming. All the fun stuff is coming. I just heard like my first firework last night. The neighborhood motherfuckers start popping off. So here we go. Starts now, and it probably won't end until like August 12th or some shit. Because
Right. You're having like a fucking 50 for one fireworks sale or something.
yeah, these
Buy one, get 50.
Parking lot firework just be posted. It's been an interesting week. A lot happened. A lot going on.
To say the least.
I just want to let y'all know today how the pod is going to go for me. If we get into any type of back and forth, it's going to be one of two things. I'm going to lie, or I'm just going to blank stare you to death. That's it. That is how I'm handling any debate we have on the pod today. There's no other alternative. I'm not telling the truth. Nothing. None of it. Straight lies. And my golf swing is better than both of you niggas, so I can do that.
We haven't actually played golf once.
Just one
terrible,
time?
But yeah, just one time.
Usually the first time you go, it's bad.
Yeah, that shit was horrible.
I've never seriously tried.
Not even at like a driving range or like Top Golf or nothing like that?
Nope. Never had a desire to.
I never did either. We had when I was in the military, we had an outing like for our platoon, like kind of like a team building thing. And we went out to the golf course on the base and played, and we were like pairs of four. And luckily, one of the dudes who was in my pair actually plays golf, so we were just doing like what they call it, like best ball. So we would all tee off, and whoever hit it the furthest, we just all go and drop our ball at that spot for the next shots or whatever, because none of us knew how to play.
Yeah, I've gone to Top Golf only because it was like some job outings a couple times, but it's kind of it gets addictive. It gets fun. Like if you like anything sports, what you do, you just want to see yourself be able to do something good. You're a competitive individual like we are. So it's fun. And then the first time I went with work, a little blonde thing came over, and I guess she worked there, and was like, "Hey, you guys want me to show you how to swing?" It was like, 5 of us there. And so we got a free lesson. So
yeah,
cool.
I've never had any desire for golf at all. I'd rather play hockey than golf.
Yeah, you're white.
Yeah.
You got to, man. It's Tiger. Once Tiger gets in there, you got to do whatever. What's up with this pickleball crazy it's like the new thing. Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
They need to make handball more popular.
Hey, yo.
Well, handball actually is very popular. It's just not popular here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In America, it's an international game, but we need to make it more popular here because a lot of players in the Bronx.
I was about to say handball is actually pretty popular in the hood, like
in New York City, yeah.
Jersey, New York, yeah, like that's a lot of I know some thugs that go out and play handball, like dudes that tote guns at night and sell drugs, during the day, in between. They usually play handball.
You need to get them on the international teams, man. They got international circuits, and the United States is not investing in its people. to get these guys off the
Here we
streets.
go. We're starting. We're starting early.
I'm just saying, man, we can have a
Well, let
pretty
me
good
tell you
team.
about my week. Yeah, we could. Handball, racquetball used to be really big back in the day too. Like my peoples used to play. Your mom used to play racquetball. My peoples too. DJ. They used to go down. If you ask her about it, they used to go down all day and play that shit. But you know, the one sport, actually, there's a few sports that are super important here in America. But the one that's been making the most noise this week is the NBA. The NBA draft happened this week. Some
Are
free
we gonna
agents
get to it?
we're going right into it. I'm not playing with y'all today. Y'all not gonna bore me with the my week was good.
No. I thought we
I
was gonna
ate
get into
soup.
the other thing.
Ate soup. Uh,
No, we don't need you talking for 2 hours to start the pot off.
right. Plus, you don't want to scare people away right off the punch.
We gotta appeal to our Republican
Right.
viewership a little bit.
Listen, it doesn't matter which one you choose. It's just a little nepotism in either side. Sprinkle a little nepotism, pardon my
The
son, or
the
sprinkle a little
nepotism
nepotism and draft my son. Which one?
the nepotism thing you're hearing in the NBA is like wild to me, because it's like you have Jalen Brunson's dad or stepdad or whatever he is to him. It's on
No,
the
it's his
coaching
father.
staff of the Knicks.
It's
Okay,
his
his
father.
father's on the coaching staff of the Knicks. Doc Rivers, Austin Rivers. I mean, there have been countless.
Jalen Brunson's a bad example, though. I mean, he's all state Illinois, beat Jason Tatum
I'm not
in
trying to
high
say that he can't.
school.
I'm not trying to say that he can't play, but what I'm saying
Yeah,
is that there are
he
tons
went
of
to the Knicks as
dudes.
a free agent, though. He did us a
True,
favor.
true. But what I'm saying is that there are tons of dudes in the NBA who Steph Curry's dad was in the NBA, right? Now, granted, there's a gap in between service. You know what I mean? But most of these, not most, a lot of these guys are in the NBA because they have parents who were in the NBA and then trained them to be in the NBA.
Yo,
You know what I mean?
these LeBron fans are off their fucking meds, EJ.
No,
Let me start off here by saying, let's introduce it. First of all, before I rip, your head off and everybody else's head off that's sucking his dick, let's start off with, it's an amazing thing as a father. We salute the shit out of LeBron James as a black father and father in general for making things happen. He's an amazing off-court person. He's never been caught up in any type of scandals. He holds it down for his wife, like so much so that you've seen him like fight to keep his hands by his side when they panned him when chicks is talking to him on the sideline. You always see him with his kids. Like he's on Instagram, TikTok, all of that with his kids, making it happen. He's an amazing family man, amazing father. Salute to him 100%. Anybody who's been under a rock and hasn't paid attention or doesn't watch sports, LeBron James' son, Bronny James, was drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers this past week with their second round pick, who LeBron James also plays for. And
no, he doesn't.
so what people are saying,
He's not retired.
at the time of
Technically,
the
while he's a
draft,
free
he
agent, his
still
team
played.
is still a
At,
Laker.
at the time of the draft, he still played for the Lakers. He didn't
Okay,
opt out
Yep.
until after the draft.
that is factual.
Um, So LeBron James was a player for the Los Angeles Lakers at the time of his son's drafting with the second round. And so some people are calling out nepotism because they're saying that Bronny, who averaged 5 points per game in his one season at USC last season, was drafted. And they feel LeBron James had a hand in this. And so VP is going to go ahead and make his attempt to throw this under the water like Nick Wright always does. And then we'll rip it to shreds. Go ahead, VP. Tell us how you feel about it.
No, I don't see a problem with this, right? The number 55 pick in the NBA draft very likely is a dude that's in the G League, right? Now, we know from reporting, or at least I don't know if you guys saw, I put it in the chat, that reports are that there were 4 teams besides the Lakers that were interested in Bronny. The Raptors, the Suns, the Clippers, and I'm blanking on the 4th team. I apologize. But there was 4 teams interested in the 3 that I mentioned. One other team that I can't recall, and then the Lakers. I'm sorry.
I think it was the Kings. I think it was the Kings.
It may have been, but
But whatever, it doesn't matter.
The Rockets. That's the 4th team. And then the Lakers, of course, right? The reports is that Rich Paul, who's his agent, right? His basically his uncle, essentially, was calling teams, telling them, "Don't draft Bronny. If you draft him, he's taking a year off and going to Australia." So some Eli Manning shit, basically, like E said in the chat, right? That let all teams know.
Eli Manning shit.
Yeah, that let all teams know to stay away, and that he was essentially it was Lakers or nobody. So that's the first thing here is that
that's
actually
nasty. That is nasty.
No, but that's the agent's job. Like, right? If Bronny wanted to play for the Lakers, he told his agent, "This is what I want," and his agent got it done. Like, he pays his agent to do what he wants. You know what I'm saying?
So let me
nothing
hold
to see
on.
here.
But before you go on, I want to address that piece. Nobody is picking Australia over the NBA if you're drafted by the NBA. Nobody. I don't care what team drafts you. That is not a thing. We've seen We've seen in the NFL people saying, "I'm not going to pop up. I'm not going to show up. Blah blah blah. We're going to demand a trade." Blah, blah. That's a different story. There's not another league. I mean, there's garbage league, but no other league that you can really, fight and say, "I'm going to go here." But in basketball, if you have a choice to go to any other basketball league, no matter where it is, China, wherever, you want to play for the NBA, you get drafted for the NBA, nobody is telling their agent. Nobody has ever or historically said to their agent, "Yo, if I get drafted and it's not by this team, I'm not going to the NBA."
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but my point overall is that if Bronny told his agent, "I only want to go to the Lakers," it's his agent's job to get him to the Lakers. His agent's job is to represent him and to get him the closest to what he wants, whether it's money, team, whatever. So his agent did what his client wanted him to do. That's the only point that I'm making. But even with that said, right, the whole nepotism thing, it seems like it wasn't a problem until it was LeBron, right? Because Steve, you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, right? What experience does Stephen Jones has to be an executive in the Cowboys organization when he was hired? Where did he come from before that? Besides the fact that he's Jerry Jones' son.
Fuck if I know.
Exactly.
What does that
mean? You
know
what I mean? So this shit
what does
happens.
That mean?
This stuff happens all the time. Bill Belichick's sons are on his coaching staff. They have no coaching experience prior to being coaches on the New England Patriots. Why are they there? Because they're his sons. Now, could they be good coaches? I mean, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's not like other teams like, "Yo, we got to go hire, Bill Belichick's kid with the mullet." Like, this dude is tearing it up. He's on staff.
Well, that's not true. There were some people that were interested in him.
Or at least he was on staff. I don't know if he's still there now because he was Belichick's son. You know what I mean? So this kind of stuff happens in sports all the time. And it seems like it's only a problem now that it happened for LeBron's kid.
Well, I'm gonna go on record to say I told you that the Lakers would draft him. You thought somehow BP he was going to Washington. I told you that shit wasn't happening. I don't know what you were thinking on that. This was a premier move for LA because it's box office, if nothing else. It's box office, and it's unprecedented. The only thing that I disagree with what you were saying was as you were going down the list of players who have fathers in the league. It's one thing to have fathers in the league, but we've seen how your father just being an NBA player doesn't get you in the league, i.e. Michael Jordan's son, right? Because prior to this,
Marcus was ass at UCF.
If your kid wasn't actually good, he would not get an opportunity. So all of the guys you named were actually good potential NBA prospects. Bronny James, by most accounts, is not the ideal good prospect. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't have a problem with it. I think it is what it is. I think it made sense from the beginning. Only thing I would say is it's not comparable to any of the other NBA kids because they were good. Austin Rivers was All-American.
Okay.
Even Bronny James got into the All-American seat and he wasn't supposed to be there. Jalen Brunson was All-State Illinois champion, college champion on the Dallas Mavericks, already killing it, and he came as a free agent. Steph Curry, uh, he earned his keep. He earned his keep. Dell had no influence on anything that happened with him because it was a point in time where it looked like he might have been out of the league due to injury, but he earned his keep. Klay Thompson, same thing. So the only thing I'm going to say is the difference is Bronny on a talent level is not like any of those other guys you mentioned.
So let me push back on that for a second. And I don't think that you're necessarily wrong, right? So I'm not disagreeing with the point that you're making, but I think that we need to add context to that point, right? And the context to the point is this. Coming out of high school, Bronny was one of the most sought after high school prospects for college. He goes to USC, and in training camp, the kid has a cardiac arrest. He doesn't play in the beginning of the season, and then he finally comes back, and then he averages like 5 points or something like that while he was there. And so I like the fact that when you use the word prospect, because that's essentially what he is at pick 55. It's a prospect. He's probably going to go to the G League, and we'll see what happens. But all the reports out of the I don't know if they call it the NBA. Do they call it the combine? Like the NFL? Like whatever they call
Yep.
that thing. Okay, so
Yeah,
the
it's like
NBA.
a rookie combine or some shit. Is what they
Okay,
call
I
it.
didn't know they use the same word or whatever. So so the combine for the NBA, all reports out of there is that he was lighting it up at the combine, which is probably why you had 4 teams besides the Lakers who were interested in him because of what they saw in terms of potential. You know what I mean? Again, at pick 55 is not like you're picking a guy who's going to change your franchise. That's not what the person you draft at pick 55 is like. Brock Purdy in the seventh
The
round.
Miami Heat would beg to differ. Your
Yeah,
second
because
round
we're
pick
we're, we're
as
different, because we
yeah,
know how to identify
but
talent.
here's the thing. I gotta push back on what you're saying again. Even in high school, even before the cardiac arrest, Bronny was not that guy. Even his All-American selection, people had issues with that. There were way better kids that deserved a McDonald's slot, and he only got one because he's LeBron's son. Bronny is not, he was not that guy coming out of high school. His brother has been touted to be way better thus far, and he was not one of the top 100 guys for his talent coming out of high school. And the only thing I'm saying is the only difference between all of the guys you named in high school, they were killers and they translated to college and they were killers. Granted, I get he had a specific thing happen to him. I get it. I'm saying the only reason why this is unprecedented because having an NBA dad historically has not always panned out for everyone. This guy just happens to be son of one of the best GM players we've ever seen in history. He's created this whole world around him where Rich Paul has leverage. He has leverage. It's good for basketball. It's good for publicity. And he made it happen. And on that note, I'm not mad at him all. I'm not mad at it at all. I saw it coming. I
I'm not
called it. And I think
Yeah,
it's good. I think it's good.
it was
because
it was gonna it was gonna happen.
yeah,
The way I see it, right? Two ways I see it. They said Phoenix or LA. It's crazy that Phoenix could have potentially had a chance to land Bronny, which means they could have also land LeBron James. LeBron James would have taken league minimum to play in Phoenix. If I'm Phoenix, I'm making that happen somehow. If I got to trade up, I'm making that happen. I'm getting LeBron and I'm bringing KD back. And now you got KD, Book, Bron, and Beal who ain't doing shit. But nonetheless, you have those monstrosities, right? And then you got Bronny, whatever, right? You wasted a pick on him, big deal. Um, but let's not erase history, VP. Like this is what you're doing. You're forgetting. You're just taking the moment and you're speaking in the moment. When we talk about history, we've seen how LeBron James has impacted every single team he's been to from a front office standpoint, with the exception of Miami, right? He's gotten coaches fired. He's gotten players released. He's gotten people traded. So this is a constant thing for him. right? Now he goes to the Lakers, and a week before the draft, he gets a guy hired. He gets his podcast mate hired as his fucking head coach. Like, let's not forget that happened a week prior. Now we go into the draft, and we're
LeBron's camp
talking
said he had
about,
nothing to do with that, but I don't
yeah,
believe
okay,
it.
of course.
I don't believe
Right,
it. I'm just
right.
telling you. I'm just putting out what they're saying. You know, let's try to
Now,
stay factual here.
now we go. Now, well, it is factual. He got hired, right? The JJ
No,
Redick,
no.
was he
All
his podcast mate?
I'm
Was it?
saying that LeBron's camp denies that. I don't
That's fine.
believe it, but
That's fine.
they
But
deny it.
what was his connection to LeBron prior to being hired?
You're right. I'm saying you're right, Steve. I'm just putting
Okay,
some
that's all.
context.
Okay,
Keep cooking. Keep
okay.
cooking.
All right. So LeBron James's podcast mate gets
You're so
hired
ready to argue, yo. I'm
as his
agreeing
head
with
coach, right? Uh, and then a week later, we come into a draft, and not the third round, not like late, not, they're like, all right, second round, first round, Lakers got an absolute steal. So let's not forget about that. They got an absolute steal in the first round, and they took the kid from the little white boy that could shoot. They took him one pick before Orlando, which I'm assuming that's who we would have went with. So I'm pretty upset about that. Um, but that's getting overshadowed. The number one pick is getting overshadowed, right? Because of this story. So when you say, "Oh, there's no one has a problem because it's LeBron," there's history here, and that's why some people have a problem. I want to just make sure, I want to go on record and say I commend the hell out of him, out of LeBron, for getting it done. And I really hope he can stick around and make it happen for Bryce, because I think Bryce is far better in some way.
and I
But
think that this is the thing, Steve, what you just said, right? Instead of this nepotism thing, right? Like, I mean, EJ already, like salute to LeBron, all that kind of stuff like that. You talked about him being an amazing father, etc., right? Why are we talking about nepotism, right? Us, the sports media in general, ESPN, etc., versus we have a guy in our league who, some people think that he's the best, some people think he's second, some people think he's third, right? But we have a guy who's considered, one of the top people to have ever played this game, who was able to play long enough that his son that was born when he was a rookie is now on a team with him in the NBA. Also, that same son had a heart attack when he first entered college and was healthy enough to recover to be on an NBA squad. Why isn't that the story? Instead of, oh my God, nepotism. I can't believe they picked LeBron's son with the
it
55th
is the
pick.
story. But that is the
It's
story. I
not the
think
story.
it
Because I'm
is the
not hearing
story
that. I'm not
because
hearing that. All I'm hearing is
you're
nepotism.
not,
And I
you
don't
know
mean for
why?
you. I'm talking about in general.
But that's because you're watching your negative person in Nick Wright, who he's addressing and is saying everyone's screaming this, and that's not the reality. Everyone's not screaming it. There are people out there that are saying the same thing. There are people out there that are commending him, just like we're commending him. But we can't just pull the blinders over our eyes and not say what reality is. It's absolutely a great thing for him, his family, and even for the NBA and for black people in general to see something like this, right? But the reality of it is what it is. It is nepotism. But I don't have a problem with the nepotism because we sprinkle nepotism everywhere. We're going to see nepotism sprinkled in a minute when Hunter Biden gets pardoned. Whenever that happens, it's going to happen, and there's going to be nepotism sprinkled there. You talked about it with Stephen Jones. That happens. We see it every day at work. Nepotism
Right.
isn't just family. It's friends and shit too.
Exactly. That's
So
exactly where I was going to go. 70% of people in America, like I saw a study that showed 70% of people in America have their job because either a family member or a friend who works at the same company.
right.
So, like,
I mean,
people being
there's
upset by
referral
this
programs.
is bullshit.
Jobs have referral programs. You telling me that
Exactly.
doesn't? There's not a little nepotism in there. So that's what I'm saying. But we can't not call it what it is. The word exists for a reason, and it has a meaning, and it is happening. It's just whether you look at it with negative context, which some people do, and some people are trying to spin it that way. But you can also look at the positivity of it as well, which is what you're talking about. And I agree with you, and EJ agrees with you, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do. But we just can't, like, it's still LeBron, to your point. Like, you
So,
got to give this guy heat when there's opportunity, and there is opportunity here because he doesn't give you opportunity to give him heat otherwise, except for his flopping and bitching.
so I don't necessarily disagree with the nepotism label, but I think to just come out and just label it blatantly, purely as nepotism makes it seem like the Lakers did no evaluation on this kid.
Let me ask you a
They
question.
really did draft him, and they drafted him because he's LeBron's son, and they didn't.
Let me
think
ask you a question.
in the NBA and all this kind of thing like that.
Let me ask you a question before I let EJ get in there because I know he's waiting. If he's not LeBron James' son, does he get drafted by the Lakers at 58?
55.
Don't worry, you don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer
55.
that. 55,
I'm going to say possibly not. But at the same time, I'm also going to say what I started off with is that there were 4 other teams interested in him. So it's possible that he could have got drafted before
Take the name off the back of the jersey and look at the stats and tell me that this kid is getting... And to your point, he went through cardiac arrest, which is a major issue, right? So we're going to call that an injury. So when we talk about people coming into drafts with injuries, some type of historic injury, there's always a cause for concern there. So someone who's draft stock at 5 points per game, that someone might be thinking, ooh, second round pick 55, probably drops later than that. There's no possible way that's happening.
Let's just be real. You know, the NBA only has 2 rounds, first and second. And no team
and undrafted. I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
No team would have taken Bronny James in the second round. The reports of other teams is purely chess. It's seeing if LeBron, hey, we throwing feelers out there to see if LeBron.
Those other teams had interest in LeBron, not in Bronny.
They had interest in LeBron, not Bronny.
And I don't have a problem with that. That was my whole point about Washington.
Yeah, well, I told you that shit wasn't gonna happen.
No, but I'm saying that was my whole point was
Washington
to
had. Yeah, I mean, Washington had no desire to actually waste. That's the thing. Any team could have said to hell with whatever Bronny James is going to do. I'm gonna draft him anyway and see what his father does. So I mean, again, if they thought he had any real playing capability, they would have taken him. But this kid, and we don't know what he's gonna be. By everything that we see so far, his player comparison is Deuce McBride, who was a guy on the New York Knicks, who I think is a young, good, scrappy player, had a great career in hindsight at Houston.
Showed up in the playoffs.
Shows up, he plays defense, but he's not a barn burner. He's a New York, fan favorite, but he's not a barn burner. But he's also a little taller than Bronny is. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about a 6'1" guard that doesn't light it up, that hasn't shown anything. Yeah, he had a heart attack. He went to USC, couldn't get off the bench for whatever reason. Again, this guy is Michael Jordan's son. You know what I'm saying? In any other day and age.
Well, Marcus average 8 points per game. So
exactly.
Let me ask you.
Jordans are better. Jordans are better than James.
Marcus didn't have a heart attack, but But anyway,
but he was sniffing coke. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this:
If off of white girls,
titties.
Oh my god!
At Buffalo Wild Wings.
let me ask you this: if Bronny has let's say he has a career. He's not like a one contract player. He actually has a career, and his career is like Derek White, for example. Not a barn burner. He's not a guy you're building a team around, but he's a piece that plays his role, helps you win games. Mm-hmm. Is this draft okay? Hindsight?
No. Again, because in the second round, and again, we don't know, but if there's a guy that somehow that's out there that lights it up that they missed, that they should have taken, it's always going to come back to haunt them.
It will, right? But also the guys you draft can haunt you, right? I mean, I remember when we drafted what's his face, the kid with the braids that we ended up sending to Minnesota in the early D Wade days. I can't think of his name right now. Light skin cat or whatever that the Heat drafted early, and then they ended up trading to Minnesota like after 2 years or whatever. But everybody doesn't. Every draft pick can work out. Yeah, Mark. There you go. Every draft pick doesn't work out. Sometimes they work out right away. Sometimes they work out later, and sometimes they don't work out at all. Like
especially in the NBA. But the only difference is for sure, right? This kid as a prospect doesn't have anything that tells this team at 55 they should take him other than his last name. That's the difference. If he was anywhere else and he was lighting it up and he had the stats and he looked all world, that's the difference. However, to your point, he might be that, he might wind up being that guy. You never know. You never know.
And let's forget a second about whether Bronny, has the talent or whatever and all that kind of thing, right? The Lakers, I think, were doing business here. And it's okay, we got LeBron. LeBron's about to be a free agent. Rich Paul's already told us he's going to opt out or whatever. We need him to return. And this is how we're going to get it done. So even if you think that it was a waste, right? We sacrificed the pick number 2 to bring in his kid, and then that gets him to return. And then we keep doing business. LeBron retires. Maybe Bronny is good, and we continue the legacy, and we got a good story. Maybe he's not good. We can trade him, cut him, whatever. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it is what it is. And so it's possible that the Lakers were just doing business here.
That's exactly what it was. Lakers were just doing business, but they were doing business with the player. I don't care about how much you guys want to insert Rich Paul. Like, insert Rich Paul when you're talking about Nike, Gatorade, whoever the fuck you want. But when we're talking about the Lakers and we're talking about Jeannie Buss, the front office, and the coaching staff, I don't care what we're talking about. This is LeBron directly. This is LeBron going in there and saying, listen, I want to play with my son. I brought you guys a ring. Make it happen. And the Lakers made it happen. And no slight to them for doing that, right? But people are going to paint it the way it deserves to be painted. It's some bullshit. But to your point, he is one of the best players of all time. Definitely a top 5 player in everyone's eyes. Top 3 in some, and then top 1 in many, right?
I mean,
the other part.
I don't understand that.
What? Top 5
like the disrespect. Like, I get it that some people,
disrespect?
People say he's not a top 5 player. To consider LeBron anything other than a top 3
to some,
player,
he's top 5.
No, he's not top 5.
To some,
LeBron is a top 3 player. If he's not a top 3 player in your list, you don't watch enough basketball. Let's stop playing.
That's an opinion of people. What can I say?
It's an argument to be had because
it depends how you look at it. If you look at different generations, then that conversation changes. But if we're just looking at today, we're looking at, just like you say with politics, I'm looking at it with today's eyes. You're looking at basketball with today's eyes. You're not looking at basketball with the 70s eyes. You're not looking at it with how dominant some of those guys were, right? And neither are we, for that matter. And Jordan fans are not doing the same thing.
You make a good point. So let me clarify what I said. LeBron James is a top 3 player from the inception of basketball until today. I want to go on record and say that.
So, I mean, you can say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. And while I have made the argument against Kobe to say he's had Shaq and he's had great teams, let's face it, LeBron wasn't going to win until he paired up with D-Wade, until he went and got Bosh and did all of that. So, I mean, it's an argument to be had to say, he's right after Kobe. I mean, it's an argument to be said. Kobe is one of the best winners there ever been. Killer mentality, unguardable.
Another guy with no off the court problems,
Who, Kareem?
No, Kobe.
This nigga's bugging.
What do you do?
He was accused of sexual assault in Denver, Colorado.
It's just an accusation. It's just an accusation.
He was also charged with it.
And what happened with the case?
The case was dropped.
And
then settled out of court in a lawsuit.
So it never happened. Never
happened. I'll say it this way without.
Yeah,
I'll say it this way without going down a Kobe rabbit hole. Here is there was an accusation made. There was evidence presented to a grand jury, and that grand jury thought that based on the preponderance of that evidence, that this crime may have happened and issued an indictment. That indictment was
listen.
And a settlement was paid in a civil lawsuit.
Aside from Kobe, let's just put this in any other situation. If you got 5 different specimens of DNA on your panties, you can't tell me that I took the puss. You are selling it.
Wow.
It's the reality. She was a worker. She was a sex worker. He paid for it. It is
She
what it
worked at a
is.
hotel, like as a check-in person or
No,
something.
you're right. You're
That
absolutely right.
that
She did.
that
She
doesn't
did
mean
work
she
there. That was
wasn't a
her
sex
primary.
worker.
That was her primary job.
Right.
That
No,
was
no.
her job
Okay.
on her taxes, VP.
Got you. I got you. So okay. So
Listen,
you're saying
would
that
you rather?
instead of
Would you rather
It's
me
usually
call her a
how
sex
it's usually
worker?
how it goes.
You want me to call her a sex worker or a whore? Because she
look,
had multiple men's DNAs on her panties. Like, what are we
what does
talking
that
about
mean?
here?
What does that mean?
I asked you, do you want me to call her a sex worker or a whore? Which one is it?
I don't think either one of those apply or could
Okay,
apply.
okay. So back to LeBron James because I don't want to go into feminist land because you'll lose that one today too. You'll be sitting there like Biden. Um, the one thing I can say about Bronny though, I'm gonna shoot him a little bit of bail, a little bit of bail. If there was a draft for this to happen, this is the draft because this draft was full of absolute duds outside of your top maybe 10 guys, and even those
20
top
at
10
most.
guys, top 10 to 20 guys are not top 10 guys in many other drafts that we've seen in the recent years, right? Like you had the guys from you had your two big guys, Edie, whatever the fuck his name is, and then the UConn players who I thought were probably your best in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And in other drafts, they are late first round picks, in my opinion, right? It's just that this draft was pretty weak. It was very international. Lots of internet. Those guys in France took over, and when I'm watching their game tape and they're replaying their highlights, I'm like, okay, I see what we're doing. We're trying to expand because those guys should not have been the top picks, at all. I'm on record to agree with Gilbert in that space right now. So if there was a draft for this to happen, it's for Bronny to have it here. But also, to your point, what I'm banking on if I'm the Lakers, let's be just outside of what the reality is. If I'm the Lakers, I'm banking on the fact that I hope because he's LeBron James's son, one, he's going to constantly be in the lab with Bron. Right, you're always going to have this guy with him. Two, you're going to hope that he has the work ethic of this guy, because even if he's not the greatest today, and even if he's coming back and still getting back from this injury, if he does have the work ethic of his father, then he's going to be, he'll have longevity. You're gonna get a pretty C-level player, and maybe he does have a usable, marginable career, right? With an outside shot at a great career, right?
Right. But
And
I
then
mean,
on the third level, right? Maybe this keeps LeBron around a little bit longer, and you do get Bronny when the time comes. Or I'm sorry, not
I mean,
Bronny,
Bryce.
Bryce, because Bryce looks like he's NBA ready, like
There's no way. Bryce is
soon.
like in ninth or 10th grade. I don't see it happening.
I think he's intense.
Yeah,
Is
I
he
don't
10?
I don't see.
Oh, he could
Yeah,
go play overseas for a year and then come in.
he still got 2 more years in high school.
No,
Oh,
he's saying in overseas they can play at like 15, so he can go
16, yeah.
overseas,
Yeah,
become a
and
pro, and then
they
come back to the
they
NBA.
still he
And then
still got to
draft in
be
at
18.
17.
He's still got to be 18. Got to be 18 to get in the NBA. And
So you got
LeBron's
two
gonna
more
be what
years.
at that point? Nah, I can't see it.
It'd be what, 41, 42?
No,
We'll
he
see
would
it.
be
We could
43,
see it.
I think.
We
But
could see
let me put one
it.
more
It probably
additional
it's unlikely. It's unlikely, but
let me put one more additional piece of context on here just to kind of get you guys' minds percolating a little bit on this, right? So the guy that we drafted, the Miami Heat, we drafted a guy named Pell, I don't know how you say his first name, Larson. Uh
Oh, I used to have one of
uh
those jackets.
um this dude only started 18 games and he averaged 8 points and 3 rebounds, right? Now we picked him we had picked 43, but there was some kind of trade we did with Houston where the guy we picked at 43 was traded to Houston, and then Houston picked at 44 and then traded this guy I just mentioned to us or whatever, right? So if you say, the players go from good to worse in the draft, right? At 43, we draft a guy who is averaging 8 points, and at 55, a guy who averages 5 points was drafted in Bronny. Are we talking about a huge disparity here? The guy who only started 18 games and averaged 8 points?
Oh, so what you're saying is the Heat drafted like shit because at 43, I'm sure there could have been some better players there. but it's
Well, I
also
don't know. I don't watch college basketball. I don't know.
also
What's
what
up with this kid? But I'm
it's
just
also
making
what
a,
your
I'm just
need
making a
is
point.
too. You guys
Hmm?
drafted a big man, right?
In round one,
And then in round 2 you drafted.
he's a guard.
Okay, so it depends on what your need is too.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about two different teams that they have two different agendas. Miami's drafting for actual guys they think they can develop and the style of person that plays. And I also believe the kid from Arizona. I could be wrong, but I can't remember. He had some junior college experience, but I could be wrong. But he wasn't an offensive guy, but he was a defensive on ball kind of player. So I mean, Miami, they draft on brand. Miami does this. I mean, I hate to say it, but they do this. This is nothing new for them. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
Lakers, the Lakers, on the other hand, you're talking about a team and a franchise. The only thing that I worry about with them is that, you had the year that you had. Denver is the boogeyman for you. You
Mm.
really didn't get better in terms of the Western Conference. LeBron is getting older. You have inconsistencies with AD. He's not happy. You got all this stuff going on, and you got a new coach where
Mm.
his most coaching experience comes from being a volunteer fourth grade coach.
Okay,
Um,
EJ, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Before you finish, let me cut you off so we can just dead that. I continued reading the paragraph on the kid that we drafted, and the
mhm.
8 points was the junior college shit. He was in, he
I
was in
thought
all
so.
Pac-12 and all, So
I thought so.
okay, so
Yeah.
I'm
So
wrong. I'm wrong.
yeah. I
Let's keep
mean,
it moving.
yeah.
Hey, do y'all believe? Do
I
y'all
thought.
believe JJ
I thought
Redick
so.
called somebody a nigger at Duke?
Yeah, I do.
I
I
mean, I
do.
don't put
I do.
racism past any white person. So
I do. I
All
do.
right,
I
well,
do
that
only.
escalated quickly.
I do only because like I told y'all before, my teammate who grew up in Virginia at a rival high school from him, that was one of the first things he told me about him in 2005 because my school happened to play Duke the first round in the NCAA tournament and almost beat them that first round. And that was one of the things he told me that always stuck with me back in '05. So I do see it possibly happen, but don't mean shit. I mean, it is what it is. He made a mistake,
Yeah,
right? He was young, right? So
right, like
they'll say
Josh
that,
Allen.
right?
Josh Allen. I
Josh
don't think
Giddey.
Josh get. Oh yeah, and that he wasn't young. Josh. I don't think JJ Redick called anybody a nigger. I think JJ Redick may be the type to stand by, and maybe he was in a group of people and somebody called someone that, and he didn't do anything about it. He seems like that type of person. JJ didn't grow into this, strong-minded individual until he became a broadcaster. Like, don't forget, he was on the Magic and he was a little bitch when he was on the Magic that whole time. Then he left the Magic and he was a bitch elsewhere. So, this
I don't know, man.
strong-minded.
I don't know. By all accounts, you got to remember, you got to go back to Duke. JJ Redick was hated. He was like one
He
of
was a
those
killer.
villains,
He was a killer because he would go into other people's buildings, and on the road, he had like,
and he
you
was a
know,
shit talker. He was a
he was
huge
he
shit
was a
talker.
shooter. He was a
He was a
shooter.
huge, and he was a huge shit talker. If you watch those games, he was one of those Tyler Hansborough kind of guys, getting into it with dudes, going back and forth. He's a very fiery dude. I don't think anybody
I
would
couldn't
take him as
stand that
being
dude.
soft. I don't think anybody would say he was soft at all. Counts. I know in Orlando, he looked out of place, he looked out of sorts, but y'all didn't really have any structure for any of those teams or any of those players. But I would say, by all accounts, this dude is who we've seen him to be. He's a fiery dude. I mean, you could just tell he's a fiery dude.
I don't think
Fucking
he called.
Tyler Hansbrough,
I don't think.
piece of
Yeah,
shit.
that's a scumbag. I don't think. I don't think. I don't believe it. And the other reason why I don't believe it is because you wait until 20 something years later. We're not talking about SA here. We're not talking about all of that other stuff. We're talking about this is a guy to get drafted to the NBA, and the first thing out of my mouth, if I was on the other side of that, would be, "Yo, I can't believe this dude made it to NBA. Just last week, he was calling me this."
True,
Like, I'm not waiting 20 years to say that, right?
true.
This is an opportunity. We live in an area or a time where everybody wants to go viral. and that's your opportunity. JJ Redick is making people go viral
Yeah,
at
I
that
mean,
time because he's a
nobody
test.
cares, and nobody cares just for what you're saying, Steve. I mean, at the end of the day, he said it. Did you report this 20 years ago in
Right.
2004, 2003? Maybe you
And if
didn't. Maybe Duke covered it up because Duke has a history of covering shit up. But again, nobody cares at this
like
point. His
across
best
teams
friend,
and stuff.
yeah, his best friend is his podcast mate is the GM there. He's the owner, GM there, and it is what it is.
What? He's a
Little too
commissioner,
late.
isn't he? He's
Little
an
too late.
NBA commissioner. May as well be.
Yeah, damn,
Watch
damn
Bronny
near,
get
damn
Bronny
near.
gonna get Rookie of the Year. Then you really gonna see people. Um, JJ, JJ Redick. If JJ Redick did do that, he's rebranded himself to the point where it got brushed off, where nobody even cares. So he did. If he did, he made it unbelievable that he did do something like that.
Yeah,
You know.
like I said, man, his history going back to high school was that he was one of them guys that he didn't say it as a racist, but he said it like he was in the trenches, kind of. He was like one of them people that his black friends gave him a pass to do it.
Oh, he was like Tommy
Yeah, so
from
I
Power.
mean, it is what it is. But my concern overall with that team is you looking at the Western Conference again. Denver is your boogeyman. You can't beat these guys. And if things shake out the way that they did this year, how much better did this team get in the offseason? So now the whole league's gonna be pissed off at you because Bronny James got drafted there. You didn't get much better. Your team is in flux. You got a rookie head coach who might be phenomenal. I don't know. The question of the day, if I'm a Lakers fan, did we really get better? And is this circus really going to be worth it for this season? That's the real question. Plus, you're banking on a guy who's 40 years old, who Father Time has given him more grace than probably any other athlete that we've seen thus far. When that train ride stops, and now you got Bronny James and the circus, are you guys going to be fighting in the play-in again, or are you going to be a top-tier Western Conference team? And that's the thing that I think makes the most sense or the most difference here for me.
Now, two things. Now, since LeBron has opted out, right? Let me ask you guys, what do you think happens? Do you think LeBron signs a 2 or 3 year deal with a lot of money? Or do you think he signs a lower amount and he tries to get additional talent because there is some talent in free agency this year to come to the Lakers, like a Paul George or something like that, KD or something like that?
No, I think he signs probably a 2-year deal. They probably put a team option on there. I mean, the dude is 40. You know what I mean? Like we can't overlook that. You know what I mean? So they probably give him like a 2-year deal, make the second year a team option versus a player option. But or at least that's probably what the Lakers would want to do. I don't know if LeBron would agree to that. But there probably would be some kind of 2-year with an opt out after year one, whether it's team or versus player. I don't know. And I don't think he takes less money. I think he probably gets the max that he's eligible for. I think
I would hope.
LeBron had less money in Cleveland. He took less money initially when he came to Miami, but then
Miami.
ended up being a sign and trade, so he got maxed out. And then D Wade and Bosh, or D Wade took less money in order for Bosh
Less money.
to get the deal. But after
And
that,
shout out to
once
D
LeBron
Wade.
got back to Cleveland, he's been getting max contracts ever since. So I don't see him
But
taking
yeah,
less money.
and this is a scenario where any other time that he would take less money, this is the time because I mean, again,
Right. This
how
should
much
be the
better
time he
did
does
this
it.
team? How much better does this team really get? I mean, it's one thing. Okay, you achieve getting your son there. Phenomenal job, great job. It's going to be box office, Showtime Lakers. Everybody's looking at you guys again. But are you guys any better than you were last year? That's
Not
the
at all.
biggest question, and they're not.
Not at all. And so I agree with you, EJ. That's what I was hoping that it would be. But I guess what it's going to come down to is, does LeBron like winning more than he likes money, or does he like money more than he likes winning? Because he has all the money in the fucking world. He's a billionaire, right? So why do I need a big ass contract? I'm gonna make history, more history, because that's what he lives off of, like Biden, is making history. I made history. I'm gonna play with my son. I got my son drafted to the same team as me. We're gonna play together. We're gonna be on the court together, right? I've won. I've made money. Scoring. History. Blah blah blah. All of that fun stuff when it comes to stats. But keep winning. Like, keep winning. If I'm you, set the team up to win. Set the Lakers up to win, because they did you a solid. They could have said to hell with you with all this bullshit with your son. Like, we don't got time for this. We're the Lakers. Like, we're not talking about the Wizards. We're not talking about the Bucks, who had to do that for Giannis, right? That's the difference. And
There
that's
was
another
another
one
one I
that
didn't even mention.
I
Giannis.
was gonna say. That's one
Nobody
that
said shit
people,
about
a
Giannis's brother
lot of
being on the
people did.
team.
A lot of people did. A lot of people did. Just like people
I
are like,
did.
yeah, everyone did. Matter of fact, if you go scroll through Instagram and just look
We've
it
been
up, you're
killing
gonna
them.
see a lot of
We've
people
been killing
talking
them.
about that. So cut it out.
Steve's been killing them. Been harsh
The-
on that dude.
I don't even know how to say his name. Tatasis is in fucking Kia commercials with him. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? Oh, but yeah, you're not talking about these bum franchises. This is the Lakers, and we already have AD. We can bring some other talent in to replace you. Like, you're 40, to your point, and you didn't do it last year. We had to get into the play-in, and we got into the play-in the year before, and the year before that, we didn't even make the playoffs. So you brought us a ring in the bubble, and then since then, you really haven't done shit. So they could have told him kick rocks. But that bubble ring was enough for them to go ahead and put their franchise on the line and say, we're going to go ahead and get your son in here. So I think for him to pay them back, he should take a lower deal to free up some money for them to make that team better. That's just my personal opinion.
I got you. I guess I guess I'm looking at it like, I always tell people, like when we talk about football, if you draft a guy with a first round pick and that guy brings you one Super Bowl over his whole career, it was a success. I don't care. I don't really care what else happens the rest of the way. You know
It
what I mean?
is. It is.
And so I think the Lakers are looking at it like that. We brought in a guy and he brought us a ring. The next 5 years weren't that great, but hey, it was a success.
Yeah, but you got to remember, it is the Lakers. And I mean, if you're looking at it where Boston now one up us, Jerry West was like, I'm dying before I see this shit happen. You know what I'm saying? You owe you you owe your fans and your franchise to play the future. It's like the Yankees. It's like, any other historic franchise. They got to do what's best for the brand. They got to do what's best for the name. And part of that, they did do that in this regard. That they got the guy that brings the guy back. That now brings more asses to the seats. That's handled right. But now we got to get back to winning at some point. We have to, because the thing about those LA fans, and as fickle as they are, if shit continues to be bad, they're going to tear that shit apart. People don't talk about how bad LA Lakers fans are. They are some of the worst fans, up there with the Yankees, Cowboys. They are up there. And when LA is bad, shit looks bad over there. So, I mean, it's one thing, you made the spectacle and you're going to fill the seats, but them people not going to come up in that arena if they're not winning. It's going to be bad for LA if they don't win.
Yep.
You got to win.
Yep. We had a comment in the chat that says, in the Instagram chat, says he should take less money, but sadly the Lakers brass is too scared to upset him or tell him to kick rocks. And I agree with that. And
I agree with that.
he probably knocking the bottom out of Jeannie Buss. Like, Jeannie Buss was with Phil Jackson. Like, Phil Jackson was like 65 when they were together. Like, now you got young LeBron eating venison every night. Like, this dude is like a walking tank, knocking the bottom out of it. Like, all right, yeah, Savannah, look the other way. Your son got drafted. You be all right. What do you think? Let me ask
And
you
there's
guys
a
a
lot of
question.
free agents out there too. That's the
There
other
are a
thing.
lot of
There's a
free,
lot of free agents out there.
and some other teams have already made some moves. So, uh, here's your platform, EJ. Go ahead, because we not gonna hear the end of the Knicks for the whole season.
Nah, I don't really have too much to say about it. Honestly, I've been on record to say I don't think Mikal Bridges is as good as he was billed, and I've been on record to say that. It's up to him at this point to prove me wrong. I think he's one of those guys though. When it comes to what Tom Thibodeau likes, he's a two-way defensive player. He's gonna get you 18 points a game and play defense. So I can live with that. And to VP's point about the NBA and draft picks, we had 11 draft picks. You know what I'm saying? We had 11. We still got some for next year, first rounders. We got multiple first rounders. So, I mean, when you look at our team and us signing OG Anunoby back, that really rounded out our real starting squad. So at this point, I think Leon Rose and those guys are putting together a team that they think can win now in the next year or two. So giving up those picks for a guy that they wanted, a two-way guy, and I never saw Brooklyn giving them up to us, you know. So shout out to them. I mean, we got to figure out what we're gonna
Yeah.
do with Isaiah Hartenstein versus Mitchell Robinson. Jalen Brunson's already out his cast. His hand is better. He's shooting. So I mean, again, I think this is a team that injury is their only thing standing in their way.
I think the Nets are hoping and banking on potentially the Knicks not having another good season, or kind of it not working out. But I think it will. Mikal Bridges, to me, when he was in Phoenix, was a really good player. Um, in fact, I think he could have led that team had it not been for Devin Booker being there. In the days that Devin Booker sat out, he played really well. Then he went to Boston and he's played phenomenal. I'm sorry, Boston, Brooklyn, and he's played phenomenal for Brooklyn. Going to the Knicks, where he doesn't have to be that number one guy, he doesn't have to put up 40, and he's a great defender, so he can play defense on the other side. You got OG on the other side. I don't know that there's too many teams in the East today before free agency ends looking on paper that they can be better than the Knicks. That they're the favorite over the Knicks. I think you have um, Giannis and Dame probably that look that way in Milwaukee. You got Boston; they're the champions, so you have to put respect on their name, and that's it. I don't have Philly up there. I don't have Miami up there. I don't have Orlando up there. I think it's 1, 2, 3, and I think the Knicks, with getting Bridges, cemented themselves at 3, especially if they're healthy next year.
I mean, I disagree with you, and not even putting Miami up there. I think the Knicks are they find a way to fuck it up, So like I'm
We
thinking
didn't fuck
about
it up this year.
I'm thinking about
They didn't fuck it up. Everyone's hurt.
um
Like, you
yeah,
can't.
but why are they hurt though, right? Because that's exactly where I was going. I'm literally thinking about I think Steve posted the meme saying Mikal Bridges hasn't missed a game in however long, and it's
500 games.
Pat Bev talking about, we called that licking your chops.
Tom Thibodeau.
Tom
Tom Thibodeau run that nigga to the ground. I mean, and to me, he's always going to be the X factor for this team. How good is he going to coach these guys? And again, now he has absolutely no excuse to substitute guys, because if your starting lineup is Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, or Isaiah Hartenstein, you now have two of your guys that were starters for you on your bench that you have zero excuse not to get them in the game to play significant amount of minutes. So, I mean,
And I don't think the Knicks are done.
I
Like,
don't think so
let's
either.
let's just call a spade a spade. I don't think they get the top guys. I don't think they get a PG. I don't think they get big guys like that, Pauls. But I think they do go out in free agency, and they may get some more talent to help out. You're going to need guard talent. You're going to need some additional guard talent to help out Josh Hart and Brunson. So I think they're going to go find a way to do that and make that happen. And it may not be a top tier guy, but you don't need a top tier guy because you have two guys that can get it done. But you have to be able to spell these guys, because Josh Hart playing 48 minutes every single night in the playoffs is absolutely bananas, yo. It's just too much.
Insane. And again, I mean, at least this year coming up as it is right now, at least he'll have a 7-man rotation, maybe even 8. Like, he's got to do differently. He's got to do differently with that, man. You got to figure out ways, and also you have to expand your coaching, because again, if guys get hurt like they did this year, You got to be ready to put somebody in there and actually have them be ready to play. And you can't do that with letting dudes sit on the bench all year long. You can't do it. So I mean, hopefully at this point, he has zero excuse to at least let Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart come off the bench for significant minutes. He has zero excuse. Zero.
Yeah. If I'm if I'm the Lakers, I'm probably pursuing somebody like Malik Beasley, who is a lights out shooter. He's unrestricted, and you could probably get him pretty cheap. You could get a Contavious Caldwell Pope for cheap, who's one. You know what I mean?
Kelly
Those are the
Oubre is
guys.
out there.
Yeah, these are the guys that I'm looking at if I'm the Knicks trying to get people into seats. I might even try to sell, a bum ass contract to Klay Thompson coming off of some shitty years that he's had, sneak him through, and then maybe be like, yo, we'll take care of you afterwards. Like I don't know, I think there's still some options out there for the Knicks to make another move or two to make their team even better.
Not
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think that's tough to get Clay because I mean, especially with Clay's situation being money, I don't know if the Knicks can do it. PG. The word on the street is that PG is going to meet with the Clippers, the Magic, and I can't recall who the third team was.
Philly. Was it Philly?
Philly.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're Orlando, that's a good move. If you can get PG, bring in like a Klay Thompson. You don't gotta give him like a bag, but you overpay him, but not to the extent to where you hurt yourself. And I think that could be a good signing for y'all in Orlando.
I don't know if I'm Orlando. I mean, that team is so young, is so talented. I think PG is cool, but I think I'm going younger. I would go if I'm Orlando, Oubre or one of them other guys, those guards, one of them guys, because I don't think they need a Paul George.
I don't
Philly,
like
it looks
Oubre.
great for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Philly's
I
a good.
get it. Philly looks great on paper for Paul George, but their problem is going to be he don't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So you already
Yeah.
got a problem with dudes don't stay healthy out there. So
And
I
I
don't.
and I honestly think that Paul George wants to stay with the Clippers. I think he's just doing business because the last year of his contract was $48 million. He opted out, and he's probably just looking for a bigger yearly salary. And so I think all likelihood is that he's gonna talk to Orlando because Orlando has a shit ton of money. He's gonna talk to Philly because Philly has a chance to compete, right? They also can offer him a bunch of money, but then so can the Clippers. And so it's like, hey, I could leave, and they say, okay, here's this whole bag of money, PG, stay here. And he's okay. I mean, I already live here, it's my family's ass, so I might as
It's
well just stay here.
home.
Yeah, this is where he's from.
No.
I hope he does stay there, and I hope really what I hope the Magic do is I hope they land DeMar DeRozan. Like I would love for them to land maybe like DeMar DeRozan and a Nick Claxton from Brooklyn, because now
That's a
you're
good
getting
fit.
now you're getting big. Pause. He's a young kid. You're solidifying your center spot. That means that you don't have to have your guards. I'm sorry, your forwards playing down low. You could still spread the floor nicely, and you're bringing in a veteran in DeRozan that can close. Well, let me take that back. You're bringing in a veteran in DeRozan. Pause. Hard stop.
He gonna get you 20 points,
Yeah,
and he gonna play good perimeter defense. He still got some years left in him.
yeah. He just can't close. That's the thing. That's his problem. Like
Yeah,
he's horrible in the close.
but you got Paulo for that. You got Banchero for
Right.
that.
That's what I mean. So you got Boncaro, you got Franz Wagner, who's only going to get better. So, but I think the key is they have to get two good free agents this year for the Magic, because right now they're running young. They're running just like the Bengals. They had a great season, but it was because these guys didn't know that they're supposed to lose. It's not because they were that good. They were just out there like, fuck it, we're gonna play our game, and then they were winning games. But
You got a guy like you said, Malik Beasley out there, Kyle Anderson, kind of guys. You know, dudes like that just to shore up that young core. I mean, that
mhm.
team in another 3 to 4 years, we're gonna be talking about something different in Orlando. I hate to say it, but
There's a
3 4
there's a
years.
huge free agent that I want to ask where you guys think he lands. It is Thanasis Antetokounmpo. He is unrestricted this year. where, where do you think he lands?
Greece.
Yo, EJ, I swear on everything. I was Googling the name of the airport in Greece so I can say that.
But let me ask you guys,
He's going back home.
where do the
Oh, man. Yo, shout out. Let me just shout out real quick because it sounds like we're gonna be moving off this in a minute here. But shout out to Dexter Pittman, yo.
Who?
Oh Lord.
He's the guy on the Heat who gave Tyler Hansbrough the business from when he was going hard fouls on LeBron. Yeah, made his nose bleed in playoffs.
Yeah, he was a dirty.
Wherever you are, shout out to you.
But it needed to be done. Needed to be done. All right. So off of that little bit of nepotism, let's go into some big nepotism. We had a debate this week. And it actually before we do that. Yeah, let's do that.
So let me, Steve. Before we do that,
it's gonna be the best intro you've ever seen. I've got the best intro you've ever seen.
Before you get on the debate, since we're going into politics in general here, I just want to quickly talk about the Supreme Court real quick because something happened this week in the Supreme Court that I think not enough people are paying attention to with this Chevron deference case. That I've mentioned in the chat multiple times that this is probably the biggest case the Supreme Court has taken up in 30 years.
Do you mean Biden's pick switching to a Republican-backed case?
No, that was on the Fisher case. This Chevron is different. So basically what Chevron deference is, I'm not going to get into the history of it, but I'm just going to explain how it works so you can understand why this case is so important.
Could you do it without swearing so that if we need to chop it up for Instagram, we could do it?
Yeah, sure. So essentially the way that Chevron works is that when Congress writes laws, right? Our Congress, they're regular folks, right? You got AOC, who was a legislative aide and a bartender. Now she's a congresswoman. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who ran a CrossFit gym, and now she's a congresswoman. Somebody like a Dan Crenshaw, who was in the Navy, now he's a congressman. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you got some people who are doctors, some who might have been engineers. A lot of them are lawyers, car dealership owners, etc. My point is that these people aren't really expert in a lot of the things that Congress does, right? So what Congress? Yeah. So what? So are you at least 28 years old?
On Tuesdays.
So hey, there you go. You're in. That's the only qualification. So, but anyway,
28 is a wild number. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
So what the Congress has done is they say we don't know how some of this stuff works, like to get down into the details, into the minutia. So we let the administrative agencies come up with the rules because we don't know exactly how some of this stuff works, right? And so the administrative agencies then sets the rules, and then somebody sued in 1984, which is where this case came from, over an EPA regulation. And they said, hey, the Congress didn't say the EPA could do XYZ. The court said, well, because the EPA knows how this stuff works, we're going to allow them to make these rules, and courts should defer to experts, right? What happened now is that the court is saying, no. The court doesn't have to refer to experts. We can go in here and say how things should be, right? So let me give you an example here, right? Using, let's say, Congress has given the Department of Energy the power to regulate nuclear power plants, right? So FP&L or whatever your energy company is up in Maryland, EJ, or Duke Energy, whatever, right? They operate nuclear power plants. The Department of Energy say to safely operate a nuclear power plant, you need to not run it past level 2 or whatever, whatever their crap is, right? Duke, FPL, Maryland Power and Light, whatever it's called, says, yeah, if we operate at level 4, we think it still could be safe and we can make more money. So they sue and say, yeah, the Department of Energy don't know what they're talking about. We're going to go to court. And some judge who's a lawyer, who's not an expert in nuclear physics or anything like that, says, yeah, I think Duke is right. Go ahead and operate it at level 4. It's all good. EPA don't know. I mean, the Department of Energy don't know what they're talking about. And think about the example that I just gave you, but in everything that we do in life, right? The FDA says this is how long you can keep meat on the produce aisle or the meat aisle before it spoils. This is how much of this chemical you can put into medications, right? This is how much toxins you can put into rivers. This is how much. Think of anything that the government regulates, right? And now the courts are saying, instead of deferring to these experts who have gone to school for this, they work in this, they have PhDs in these sciences, in these fields, saying this is how you can make this thing run properly, smoothly, safely, whatever, to now judges being able to make these decisions. So
they trying to get Fauci up out of here.
So you have a young child, Steve, and the OSHA or whoever it is that regulates car seats say this is how you have to make a car seat be safe. And then the people who work over at the car seat, I can't remember the name. Yeah, the people who work at Vertex say, well, we don't think that you need the shoulder harness and the waist harness. You don't need no
padding. You don't need no padding.
You don't need the padding, or you don't need shoulder and waist. Just shoulder by itself is fine. And then it goes to some judge and he says, yeah, I think they're right. Okay. And I know that that's an extreme example. That's like, come on, are you serious? But that's the point that I'm making is that every single thing that the government regulates, now the courts can insert itself when some company, some person sues to say, we think that, the government got it wrong here. The people who are experts in child safety seat regulations, in fire regulations, in mining, deep sea oil drilling, nuclear power plants, vaccinations, medications, education, whatever your thing is, it's going to be judges making these decisions now instead of experts who work in these fields. And that's why in the chat, when I kept saying like them overturning this is huge. We're not going to feel it tomorrow, but over the next decade, you're going to see things fundamentally change in this country on how the administrative state works.
Well, you just got to get some more Lee Harvey Oswalds out there that's willing to, get it. What? You don't want to get it the right. Listen, they want to get it. They don't want to get it the right way. Go get it the wrong way.
I would like to disassociate myself with Steve's comments.
Listen, man. They
put podcast is for entertainment purposes.
Right. That's right. Listen, Trump put these people in there for a reason. Them people gonna be there for a long time. No matter who, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't matter. If they're there, you're screwed.
I mean, but
somebody got to make something happen.
VP's an institutionalist, so this is something like this grinds his gears probably to the max because the federal government is should be making these decisions for the people because they should know what they're talking about. But I mean, again, the judges being able to do what they do is also a part of the systemic problem. No one can check these people, and the checks and balances for these people is the problem. That's one of our major problems. The system don't work. It just doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
And what the court is saying here, Steve, is that and EJ is that if Congress wants something done a certain way, they have to write it that way, right? So let me give an example. When or I don't even have to give an example. Let's just go back to that nuclear power plant thing I said. So what the court is saying is that if Congress thinks that nuclear power plants should operate safely at level 2, right? They got to put that in the law. And then now the Department of Energy can say, hey, you can't operate power plants past level 2. And the court say, hey, that's what Congress said. We don't got no dog in this fight. you know. But if Congress leaves anything open, the court is saying, well, yeah, the administrative agencies can say like what it is, but we
but it
should have
ain't
the
law.
final say because Congress left it open because it ain't law,
And
you know.
and guess what? And guess what? When it comes to that senator in Texas or that congressperson in Texas, wherever it is, and they're now being bought out and funded by whatever company or whatever
Hmm.
situation is a hot button issue, they're not going to pass it. They're going to vote it down. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. This, while on one hand, it's showing the flawed ways in which the federal government should have more power, it's also showing how flawed the justice system is, court system is, in the congressional system is. It's unfortunately the end result of capitalism in this nation. Money is trumping everything. No pun intended.
Yeah. And and
It's
and and again, the reason that the Congress leaves it open, right? It's like in the 1970s when they passed the Clean Air Act, for example, right? The Congress doesn't know like what should be in air, you know, how much of what is bad, right? So they say, hey, EPA, regulate to make sure our air is clean. EPA says, okay, cool, we got it because we have people over here, doctors, scientists who know, you know, what to do. So fast forward, remember in the 1990s when everybody was freaking out about the ozone layer and saying like those aerosol cans, you know, spraying hairspray and all kind of air fresheners and stuff like that was messing with was putting holes in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
The EPA starts regulating that stuff and saying, hey, whatever chemical was in the aerosol can, you got to get rid of it. You know, they do that. And now reports are, according to people who monitor this kind of stuff, is that nature is essentially fixed itself. And a lot of those holes in the ozone layer are gone now because we've stopped using those chemicals in those aerosol cans. When they passed the Clean Air Act in the 1970s, they didn't say, hey, we're setting carbon dioxide and this level and this chemical level, that chemical level at these levels, and then you can't do anything else besides that, right? They say, hey, EPA, regulate the purity of our air. And then the EPA says, okay, we got it, because maybe that chemical that was, you know, going up in the 90s, maybe it didn't exist in the 70s. So what the court is saying is now is that when Congress passed legislation on anything, they have to not only say exactly what they want, they have to also be able to see around corners to say, hey, we're passing this bill in 2024, but we also have to regulate this thing that might not exist until 2050.
Yeah, but it's also Congress's job to get in there and not fight over bullshit issues, and to get in there when something arises to make things happen. And I mean, it's up to the other problem with that is we're never going to get partisan work on things like this because we're
Mhm.
too worried about calling somebody a built butch beach body, whatever she called her. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's
But that
it's
was
all it's
once.
all messed up. It's all messed up now. It's all bad.
Well, you got to get your internet fixed. You sound like Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You got the stutter.
It was a bleach blonde, bad built butch body.
I couldn't remember what the hell she said.
B.
Yeah. But she hit a nerve because ever since then, Marjorie Taylor Greene out here doing like handstands and showing her
Yep.
workout videos and shit. So she definitely hit the nerve.
A hit dog will holler.
Oh, they gearing up for a cage match. You know, that's what Congress does.
And peanut butter.
Oh
Mhm.
God.
All right. Speaking
Joe
of
Biden.
Congress, since VP just stole all my intro, it's gonna be the best intro ever. He stole it. Like
I'm
Biden's
sorry.
letting people in to steal these black jobs. Spe- on Wednesday, it was Wednesday, yes? Thursday.
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 Thursday we had the first presidential debate. It took place, was monitored by CNN. I thought they did a good job though, trying to keep Trump in line, but they didn't
I totally
really
disagree, but
they didn't
continue.
succeed. Um
No, I mean I
and
totally disagree on them doing a good job, but continue.
and then so this it took place Thursday, it was 9 p.m. Joe Biden came out and Trump came out and they had their first debate. Um and it was interesting. It was definitely something to see. It was for TV. We are like there is no level of society that is not impacted by bullshit today. Like, we're talking about the highest seat in the land, you know, the most important person, the quote unquote toughest job in the world, with the most power in the world, out here having what looks like a parody movie. Like, this shit looked like a parody flick. This looked like the niggas that made Don't Be a Menace got out there and was like, yo, let's make up the presidential debate. What would it look like if Biden and Trump went out for a debate? And somebody made up this funny ass joke, put it on HBO, and everybody laughed at it, and then the real debate happens. This shit looked like it was a parody. It was absolute dog shit. Absolute dog shit. Lots of lies, just so that people kind of understand what's going on, and I'll let VP take it away because he's the star of the political show. But you got one side talking about Trump telling lots and lots of lies, people highlighting those lies. Then you got the other side saying Trump's lies were actually not lies. It's just that people are not looking into the, you know, the depth of what he said and letting mainstream media, you know, tell them that they're lies. And then you got the other side saying that, actually, you got both sides saying that Joe Biden looked like absolute dog shit out there. He looked like Pop Pop, who came off of Thanksgiving dinner, had too much of the turkey. What is that stuff called? The that puts you to sleep.
Stuffing?
No.
Tryptophan.
Tryptophan. He had too much tryptophan, and he probably should have taken a nap. I feel like Joe Biden didn't get a nap before that, and they tried to say, "Oh, he had a cold. He had a cold. Oh, he sounded so bad." Like, it was Joe. That debate was a fucking joke, man.
So
aside from the lies and bullshit, what are your major takeaways, VP?
So on this podcast, EJ mainly, and then Steve sometimes accuse me of shooting Joe Biden bill. I disagree with that most times, but you know, it is what it is, right?
Accuse.
However,
huh? All right, Kobe. All right, Kobe.
However, this debate on Thursday was a goddamn disaster. Okay. And I see some Democrats, including, you know, Kamala Harris, you know, slow start, strong finish. Biden did look better at the, you know, after about the first 20 minutes or so. But the same way, you know how they say a lot of people, when they read a news story, they don't read past the headline, or some people don't read past the first paragraph. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people in my own circle who was like, I had to turn that shit off. And so there's people who didn't see the anything after the first 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So if that's all you saw, that you probably think that's how the whole thing went, you know. The debate was bad. And this what makes it worse is that Biden's team are the people who proposed this debate. They asked for this. You know what I'm saying? They asked for it, Trump agreed to it. They set up a lot of these rules that were used in this debate, and then Trump agreed to it. And then we have this kind of performance. Like I told E in our chat when he asked, like, hey, what happened? I said, they put an 81-year-old man on stage at 9 p.m. for a debate. Let your mind go from there. You know,
he's a commander in chief. I hate that point, because the country doesn't run on Duncan. Like, bruh.
Or Eastern
9 p.m.
Or Eastern time, because it's 6 p.m. in Cali.
Okay, you're right. But let me ask you a question. And again, this is not shooting bail for Biden, but I'm going to ask you a question based on the point that you just made, because it's a fair point, right? Any situation that the president gets in, do you think that somebody runs into the Oval Office and say, Mr. President, there's trouble in Uzbekistan. Tell us what to do in 2 minutes. That doesn't happen. You know what I mean? The president sits down with people.
That doesn't absolve anything. It doesn't absolve anything.
I'm not saying it does.
Again, when he has to get in the situation room, and it's 12 a.m. on the East Coast and 9 p.m. in LA, I want you to be fit to do the job. And if it's too late for you to do a debate, then it's too late for you to be the president.
So here's
get Barack back in there.
Here's the point that I was getting ready to make with that, right? And when I said the whole thing about 81-year-old man, 9 p.m., et cetera, right? Biden went to Camp David and did debate prep, right? And then they flew down from Maryland, where Camp David is, down to Atlanta. I saw a video of like 3 p.m. of Biden in the streets shaking hands with people and stuff like that. Because they probably figured, let's get down there early, and then we'll go out and have this event, and then we're gonna go to the we'll go to the place, do some debate prep, last minute prep, and then we'll go have the debate. They should have did that. They should have fucking left Maryland at like 5 or whatever, got down to Atlanta, did their last minute prep, and then debated. But regardless of that, we are here. And the general sense is that some people are freaking out. I'm not. I'm more of I'm concerned. I'm not at freak out at this point. And a lot of people are holding their powder, and they're saying, let's see what happens here, right? Because right now, based on early indicators, is we have some polling, and thus far we have 4 polls that have come out, post debate polls, that show that according to the polling, this isn't an issue. The other thing,
an issue?
The debate.
The debate performance. The polling has not shifted. Now, again, this is 4 polls post debate. To get better polling, you're gonna need about 5 days. So I think in the middle of next week we'll get some better polling. But in the first polls that came out, and these polls were post debate polls, nothing. The race hasn't changed, basically, according to the polling. But let's see what happens next week. The other key point is the money. And in the hour after the debate, the Biden campaign said they had the strongest fundraising 1 hour since it's in the whole candidacy. And over since the debate on Thursday,
we got to give this dude more money.
We need help. We need.
I think people understand. I think people understand that this is a problem, and they're gonna need to do stuff to get out of it. They're gonna need to, have events, run TV commercials, all that kind of stuff that goes into politicking. And I think it's people recognizing that and saying, "Let me donate, let me help." Now, you have people in the media like the New York Times, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution saying Biden needs to drop out. And I get that point, but I think that people are not thinking this thing through. They're just drawing from the hip. He needs to drop out. Because the next question that nobody's answering is, and then
who's
what?
next? Who's next?
It's not who's next, EJ. That's not even the problem. The problem is that to get to who's next, the process to get to who's next does not exist.
What do you mean?
So he would have to drop out, and then the Democratic Party is going to have to figure out something on how they get to who's next.
Right.
And the people
and it's going to be a fight. And it's going to be a fight because it's a black woman.
And
you're going to be trying to tell a black woman you ain't got no rights.
And all the people who I see talk about replacing Biden, I don't hear that. I've heard some people say Kamala Harris, but most people aren't. They're assuming that it's going to be somebody else. I don't know if you know this, but I know this. The base of the Democratic Party is black voters. So what's going to happen when they pass over the black lady?
That's right.
What's going to happen with black voters when they pass over the black lady? Not the black lady who's waiting in the wings, who people think, man, she's an up and coming politician. Look out for her in next election. She's the sitting vice president to the guy you're saying needs to drop out. So if they pass her over, what happens? Some people are saying, oh, well, you can get Gavin Newsom in there, or J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, or whoever, and have Kamala run as vice again. Why? She's the VP. If the president can't do the job, she is the person supposed to take over, right? So now she's saying, oh, yeah, I'm fine with being in the number 2 chair again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she ain't going to do that.
Not only that, this Joe Biden needs to drop out argument is also not looking at history. There have been 2 times in our history, at least on the Democratic Party side, I'm not sure if this happened on the Republican side, where a presumptive nominee has decided not to run. Lyndon Johnson, his vice president, then took over and started running and got killed by Richard Nixon. And then also in the 1940s with Harry Truman. Harry Truman decided not to run. His VP took over and then got killed in the next election, right? And part of the reason why is that building up campaign infrastructure is hard because the people who work for the campaign, they work for the top guy. They don't work for the number 2 or the replacement. They love that person. They're energized by that person. They go knock on doors for that person. The people who vote for the top guy, they're there for the top guy. So the number 2 person or the replacement person doesn't have a relationship with those voters. This is why you should pick me. This is why you are here for me. They don't know anything about the other person. They don't know anything about their policies and all these things like that. So it's less than 4 months left in this election cycle. And you're saying, get rid of the candidate, then come up with a process to replace them, and then new person, you have less than 4 months to make people love you and want to vote for you. And I don't know if hate for Trump is strong enough to overcome that. And then here's the biggest thing that we're not factoring in, right? That nobody is talking about, saying Joe Biden needs to drop out. If Joe Biden is not good enough to be the candidate, he's not good enough to be the president. He needs to resign from office, not just the top of the ticket, which then creates its own fucking problem. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me answer one question there. Nobody believes that the hate for Trump is enough for that to be overcome. It's not. It's not. If Joe Biden is, it's just like the first time. There were people that people like more. You like Liz Warren more. Liked Liz Warren more. I agreed with you guys just off the little bit that I knew. EJ liked Liz Warren more. EJ liked Bernie more than Biden, right? And I think a lot of people did, but none of them had the power to beat Trump. And today, there's 2 people in this world that can be 3 maybe that can beat Trump. 2 of them have the same last name, Obama, and then the other one is associated to the Obamas and is the current president. In my eyes, that's my personal eyes, right? Donald Trump we've said it, it's a cult. It is a fucking cult, and those people are going to show up no matter what, high or low. And I've told you guys this all the time, and I know you guys like to discredit the fact that I don't follow the politics, but I could tell you that it's not Vari, it's not it's not Steve, it's not EJ, it's Quisha, it's Quintavia, it's Big Mama Grace, who can't take the day off, the lunch lady, because she might get written up. It's the 7-Eleven workers. That's who you need to channel. And the only reason those people will potentially take that day off is for an Obama. We've seen it. For somebody who's been associated with Obama and a Biden. And even still, I think it was much lower. They're not doing it just because they hate Trump. They're not. Especially when everybody around them is saying, you can't take the day off because you're broke. You're broke because of Biden. Right? That's just the reality of it. There's nobody out there that can beat Donald Trump today except for Joe Biden. And that's my personal opinion. And there's nothing that anyone can say to make me think otherwise.
Yeah. And I just think that at the end of the day, right now, the only person who can get Joe Biden off the ballot, and that's another thing, the ballot, right? It's not like they get rid of Joe Biden and then boom, this replacement person is now the on the ticket, right? Every state has ballot access requirements. You have to go around and get signatures from registered voters. Those signatures have to be submitted to the state and then verified for this person to even have access to the ballot. And the Republican Party is already, excuse me, the Republican Party has already said that if the Dems replace Biden, they're going to file lawsuits in every state about ballot access. Mm-hmm. Because in a lot of the states, the deadline to have your name put on the ballot has passed. You see what I'm saying? And so, so we get rid of Joe Biden and they put Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, whoever on there. And then what happens
then you disqualify all those states.
Yes, in 18 of the 50 states, whoever the Democratic nominee is disqualified because they didn't meet the signature deadlines for ballot access and things like this. Like people who are saying Joe Biden needs to drop out, I think they're looking at this thing too simplistically because it's not as simple as I saw Biden, he looks bad, he needs to go, right? It's I saw Biden, he looks bad. What the fuck happens if he goes? And there's a lot of like
Yeah,
we don't know.
yeah, a lot of ramifications. But the overall point that I've been saying for years now, the biggest problem for me is that this is the best that we got at the moment. That's
Unfortunately.
that's the problem for me because again, you mentioned these people from all these different places, and while they may be qualified and potential people, it isn't the current race and the current climate of this country. They don't care about quality. They don't care about quality. They don't care about qualifications.
Mhm.
It also has to be a popularity contest, which I mean, you can argue has happened throughout history over time. Yes, but you have to be somebody with some charisma. You have to be somebody with some knowledge. You have to be somebody who can galvanize the people. And right now in the Democratic Party, who is next is a real question. This guy is 81. Is it Kamala going forward? Shit, a lot of people didn't like Kamala in the party herself. Who is the next Democratic star that for the future, when if it's Trump in the future or it's the next worst thing, who really has the stocks and the barrels to really go against that person from the other side? And to me, that is the biggest problem this party has and continues to have.
So I think that you're right, but I also think that the party does have a bench. The problem is that the people who, at least like let me say for me, that I think are exciting candidates are
Take
not out
take
there.
take your I was gonna say you have to take your hat off when you're thinking about this. And
Yeah,
this is the
yeah, yeah.
point that Steve tries to tell you
No, and
every
that's
week.
where I was going. That's where I was
And
going.
and this is what I'm saying. There's no one that exists that if you don't really know about, we don't know about them. The most popular people in that party, AOC's Cory Booker. Where is he at?
Oh,
Cory
he's gone.
Booker's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
I like Gavin Newsom. I still don't think he has the Trump, the power to beat Trump this year. But I do like him a lot, and I do think that he is very extreme to the Democrat side, like VP, and like the far leftists. That he can steal a lot of those informed voters. Like I think Gavin Newsom can get the informed voter. I just don't know that he has the reach to get the uninformed voter, right?
Yeah,
And that's where I think the
Nope.
challenge comes in.
and I agree
That's
with
my
that. I
point. That's
like
my
I like
point.
Gavin Newsom, but he comes with baggage,
That's
and
that's my point overall. We don't have a vote. We don't have a candidate for the people, not like VP, your Erics, your Steves. We do not have that person that galvanizes the little people that Steve was talking about. We do
right,
not
and
have that person on this party.
I agree and I disagree. I agree more than I disagree. Let me put it that way. I think that there are people on the bench. The problem is, like, for me, I like policy. You know what I'm saying? And so, what do I always say on here in chat? Except you don't vote for people, you vote for policies. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like before this Chevron ruling we talked about a moment ago,
Mhm.
administrative agencies are making decisions about how the law should be interpreted. Right? You know who appoints the people who run the administrative agencies? The president. You know what I'm saying? So you vote for him, and then the 4,000 people that he's going to put in place throughout the federal government. You know, and so now, same thing with the judges saying, no, 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 we should be, doing this kind of thing when Congress doesn't make the law. You vote for the president, the 4,000 people that he or she is going to appoint throughout the federal government, and the hundreds of judges that they'll appoint during their term. So, but that's me. But like you just said, EJ, and like Steve always says, you know, the median voter doesn't look at politics the way that I do, right? They're barely spectators. They may see it. I always say people are just living their lives. They watch the news every now and then. They say, "Oh, so and so happened. Oh, wow. I don't know how I felt about that. Okay, back to the homework. Back to cooking dinner. Let me go to my second job. Whatever your situation is, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think that there are people, huh?
Nothing.
Oh, but I do think that there are people in the Democratic Party who I like from a policy standpoint, and I think that can be somewhat exciting. Newsom is kind of an exciting guy, but from a policy standpoint, I think, like Steve says, he can be viewed as extreme. He's from California, you know what I'm saying?
But you
Another
but
guy I like in the
you went and did all of that to prove exactly my point. You said you shouldn't vote for people, you should vote for policies. But again, that's you thinking with that cap. Who is a person on the bench that the people who vote for people will vote for?
That's what I was just ready to go.
Question.
I talked about it.
Who's on the bench? Who's on the
I
bench? I'm
know
gonna make it easier. Who's on the bench that can bring black people out?
I like Mitch Landrieu. He is the former mayor of New Orleans. He's actually on Biden's campaign team or whatever. Okay. He's very smart, very charismatic, great speaker.
Is he black?
No, he's a white guy.
All right.
He actually looks like Biden.
Biden's white. What are you talking about?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. I'm saying, we talking. You said a old white guy named Mitch from Louisiana.
Well, he's not old, like in his 50s.
63.
63.
Old white guy.
But yeah, that
ain't gonna bring the black people out.
That
ain't gonna bring the black people out. That's not gonna bring the black people out. The only reason Biden is up there. Yeah, and anybody living in
black voters,
and anybody living in New Orleans that's black, that's living in the Ninth Ward, probably don't fuck with him. Listen, Biden, like Steve always says, the only reason Biden's old white ass is up there is because of his association with Barack Obama. Who right now in this party can galvanize the black voter that don't give a damn about politics? It's not many.
You got Westmore, governor of Maryland.
Yeah, he's governor of Maryland right now. He's governor right now, and we still waiting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great communicator, very charismatic. So I think that he's somebody who could galvanize black voters. Steve said Cory Booker. I don't like Cory Booker. I don't like Cory Booker for policy reasons. Or EJ may have said it. I'm not sure. I don't like him for policy.
I just brought him up to ask where he's been. That's all I want.
Yeah, but he's somebody who's very powerful speaker.
But we can't trust him because he already tucked his tail with New Jersey, tucked his tail with Christie.
When I think about Mitch, right, VP, and I don't know the guy, I'm just thinking about who he is. I think there's some value to him being able to stand on rebuilding New Orleans after Katrina and everything that's taken place, because it's still not rebuilt. Like, I've been there twice in the last 2 years, and there's still a lot going on. But I could tell you that it's in probably a far better position than it was back then. So I think he could stand on that. Those people, when you get there, are very happy. They're very humble. They're welcoming. So it's not like they're angry and upset down in New Orleans at this point. So he could probably stand on that, and hopefully get some of those people behind him. But I just think that's our biggest problem, or not our biggest problem. That is the biggest problem of the Democratic Party right now. Is I don't know that there's enough people doing enough to get in front of black people's eyes, black voters' eyes, to be like, yo, I want to do something for you guys as well. I mean, obviously, as a commander in chief, you're responsible for everybody. You should be looking out for everybody. But to get those people out of their homes, there has to be something that makes you gravitate to them. And for us, that's how we are. We're not leaving. Look, I'm not leaving my house to vote for somebody that I don't think has some type of best interest for me just because the other guy I know hates me.
Right. And I guess this is why I disagree with you guys, right? And not totally. The point is like I said earlier, right? You have to run a campaign, right? So Elizabeth Warren is somebody who I liked before she ever ran. And then she's somebody who I liked even more once she ran and I started listening to her speak, listening to her policies, stuff like that. Cory Booker is somebody who I liked. And then when he ran and I started getting to know him, I started to dislike him. You know what I mean? From a policy standpoint. And it's the same thing with anybody, whether it's Mitch Landrieu, whether we're talking about a Westmore, AOC, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, Gavin Newsom, whoever it is that we're talking about, JB Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, whoever we're talking about, these folks would get out there and say, this is why you should vote for me. This is, try to persuade you. And then you make a choice on whether or not I like this guy, black, white, or indifferent. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard to just say this person should be the person without knowing anything about them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I probably know a little bit more about some of these people than the average voter because I follow politics heavily. But for most of these people, it's like, who's running? Okay, it's these 8 people Okay, I heard what they had to
that's the
say. I like
problem.
this guy.
Can we get
That's
Tulsi
the
Gabbard up
problem.
there? Because I'll vote
Hell
for
no.
Tulsi.
That's
Hell
the
no.
problem.
Hell fucking no. Tulsi
But
Gabbard. She's a
Steve,
Republican now.
that's the
Still vote for her.
problem. Steve, that's the problem, right? The Republican Party is playing for the long game, and they're playing to the popular ego of the American people. In today's day and age, where you have social media, where it's not going to cost you millions of dollars to run around the country to speak to the average voter, you have social media, you have celebrities, you have different things that you can do to make yourself more of a household name. The Democratic Party does not have anyone aggressive enough that's getting into the homes of everyday citizens that are not in their state. Wes Moore, I think, is a phenomenal example. He was on the national stage, with this tragedy, and he is a young black guy who has promise. That's one. But other than that, we do not have anyone that are touching the American people that don't pay attention to politics in their homes and other jurisdictions. And there's so many opportunities that they can do that. We don't know their policies. Well, get on Twitter, get on X, make some statements. Old girl from Dallas, she made a moment for herself. Make a
Jazz.
moment for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do something.
Jasmine
If
Crockett.
if Biden
So
wins, if Biden wins this election, I think it's important for him, whether he makes it or not, and if he doesn't, then Kamala. It's going to be very
Kamala.
important. Kamala. It's going to be important for them to bring Pete back. You got to get Pete in front of the people.
he's good. He is really good. I
You
like
have to get him in front of people because he's sassy enough to channel the black women. He's gay enough to get the LGBTQ plus community. Is he not? Is he not?
No, like when you
Oh.
said sassy, I figured like that's what you meant, and then you just was like, just in case you didn't know what I meant when I said sassy, let me just say he's gay.
No.
Oh
When I
my
said
god, yo, this guy.
no, when I said sassy, I meant he like when you see him get pressed, he claps back like a black woman, like 100. He's fiery. He is fiery.
I can't with this guy, EJ. I
What? Am I
can't.
saying something wrong? I thought, all right. Well, and then he's young enough, right? I think if you put from everything I've learned the little bit that I've learned, and then listening to you guys talk about Liz Warren, I love her, but she's 75 years old, and I think
Right.
we're at a point now where we're already getting people say stop putting old people in front of us. You keep putting old people in front of us, you're gonna start to lose voters, especially these
Yeah.
younger voters that are up and coming. You got to get
And Hakeem
somebody.
Jeffries is another one we're not talking about. The Democratic leader in the House. Hakeem Jeffries.
It's
He's black
Hakeem.
from Brooklyn. Or not from
Hakeem.
Brooklyn. He's somewhere in I think Staten Island, somewhere in New York City, in NYC.
It ain't Staten Island. I think you're right about Brooklyn.
But
Yeah,
Highly doubt
that's
it's Staten Island.
well,
Pete
I think
Buttigieg
it's
is
part of
Highly doubt
Brooklyn because AOC don't got all of Brooklyn. I think he represents the other part of Brooklyn.
AOC's from the Bronx.
Buttigieg is
Or the Bronx.
42.
So he is Brooklyn. AOC is the Bronx. You're right.
He'll be
And then
46
I can
by the
tell you
time the
wasn't
next
I can tell you wasn't no
presidential
Staten Island.
election comes. Who
Yeah,
cares?
no, it's not Staten Island. But I think
You guys are splitting hairs.
So this is where I disagree with EJ a little bit about getting out there. It's that the Biden folks do try to get out there. Biden does interviews with influencers on TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that.
Not talking about Biden. We talking about the future. Not talking about Biden. We talking about the future.
Oh, okay.
Biden has already mastered it. Biden has already found the special sauce. He figured it out.
I got you. But EJ, here's the thing though, right? I don't care about the future. I care about November 5th, 2024. And if Biden gets reelected, then whoever is thinking about 2028, they can start doing all that shit that you're talking about.
But that's right. What we're saying. We're on the same page. We care about November, but we're saying the long-lasting problem that we've had. We don't have a Margie Taylor Greene. We don't have somebody that got our non-informed voters. We need that now. We don't need it later. We need it now. We need it now.
Right?
How long have you been working at your job?
About 12 years.
Okay. So the value that you have is institutional knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
You bring institutional knowledge over somebody brand new, right? And so I think what we're getting, what EJ is kind of getting at is you have the Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's been around and she's going to be around and she's going to spread the Republican hate and the Republican word. But on the Democratic side, we're not seeing that. Like AOC is probably the single one, and I said it in the chat this week. AOC is the single one that's out there actually screaming and fighting at the top of her lungs every time you see her. We finally saw Jasmine Crockett do it. She went viral. We need people doing that. And you were like, no, we don't. I disagree. And we
Well,
do. We
I'm
absolutely
not.
do.
I'm not. I don't. Well, if I said that, I don't. I don't mean it that way. That we don't need people doing that. I definitely want people out there fighting. But I love the point that you just made about institutional knowledge, right? Because I think where I make the mistake of, let me not call it a mistake. I think where I mess up, when I talk with you guys about politics, is that I'm assuming that we're on the same page about stuff. And so, like when EJ talks about the bench, for example, right? The points that I'm making, I'm basing these points off the fact that when Barack Obama gets elected in 2008, he gets elected with an overwhelming House majority and an overwhelming Senate majority. 2010 rolls around and they have this huge red wave, what Obama called when he said we got shellacked or whatever, right? And Democrats get wiped out across the country in the US Senate, the US House, governorships, state legislatures, state senates, mayors' races across the board. Democrat, it was a red, not wave, it was like a red tsunami,
Like a red wedding.
yeah,
We got
they
killed.
got wiped out in 2010 across the board, right? That's why Obama was like, we got shellacked or whatever, right? This is those areas, those people who were mayors who decide to become governors or mayors and go to congressmen or senators or state legislatures, become U.S. House representatives or U.S. senators, etc. This is where your bench comes from. Those people get wiped out. Throw in some gerrymandering to make it hard for those people or anybody new to go back and get those seats. And it's taken time to build the bench up. And so we're still operating from that loss in 2010, where, the potential bench was wiped out and they're trying to build that up. You know what I mean? So I don't think that EJ is necessarily wrong in what he's saying. But I think the answer that I'm giving comes from a little bit more context of saying that they're still trying to build the bench.
This is where you fail to miss the point. Me and Steve and you are not on the same page when we're thinking about it. You keep going down this rabbit hole to try to address what we're saying, and you find yourself right back to how you view politics. This is the problem. You have to realize what we're saying is we get you on all of that. It's great. But we're also the people that can still speak to the people that don't think this way. And the problem is they have to reach the people. And we've all been in agreement with one of the main reasons Obama won. He's a community organizer. He's from the community, and he had the closer. Michelle went out and she went from university to university and she talked to the people and their children in front of them. She was the people's champion, and Obama became the people's champion's husband. We don't have that today. Bottom line, you have to get in the streets. These Republican people, no matter what they do with their constituents, whether they're lying, whether they're telling them the truth, whether they're selling babies, they're out there. They're in their homes. We do not have that equivalent on the Democratic Party. AOC is the only one on a national standpoint, and Westmore might be the next best thing. These people, if you have a plan for 2028, now is the time to get in the street. Align yourself with Biden. Support Biden. Get in the street. Use social media. Get on the Breakfast Club. Get on every morning show that's in every Black syndicated radio. Get on the Ricky Smileys. Get on the DL Huleys. Get out there. We do not have that coming from the Democratic Party. I don't care what your policy is right now.
I got you.
But we don't even know what it is. We don't even know what you stand for. We don't care about Mitch.
But in the next breath, we call them panderers. So it's two sides.
I was gonna say
well, when you're eating fried chicken and watermelon, and you're kneeling with kente cloth. Listen, it's a difference between pandering and getting out there. Like, come on,
Juneteenth, baby, Juneteenth.
Come on.
What do you say?
That's running though.
I saw a meme, VP, really quick. I'll just because I want to move on from this because we don't have much time, and I want to talk about House of Dragon. real quick, VP, let me ask you to. I saw a meme this week that made me laugh, made me giggle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden said, "If I'm elected, I'm going to bring back Roe v. Wade." And a young black lady said, uh, "Girl, you are ready to president. Why can't you bring it back now?" So, what do you say to the people that ask, like in a debate? It's tough when you're already the president. And you're like, "If I'm elected, I'm going to do this." But dog, you already in the office. What are we doing? Like, what do you say
That
to those people?
that's Joe Biden thinking like me when I say, I speak as if we're on the same page. Because what he means is, if I'm elected and you give me a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate, I'll bring back Roe v. Wade. But he's just saying, if I'm elected, that person's like, you already the president. What the hell are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I think that he has to go full circle and say, I need you to not only elect me, but also send me a House of Representatives that's controlled by Democrats and a U.S. Senate that remains in Democratic control, in order for me to bring you back Roe v. Wade. So I think it's
Yeah.
just one of those things of like, the person who made the clip is uninformed. You know what I mean? Because the Republicans control the House, they're not going to pass anything that
I,
codifies Roe v. Wade.
and that's also where it gets a little tricky too, right? Is because those seats, we're seeing people that are worse than Trump. We're seeing
Mm-hmm.
the Boberts, we're seeing the MTGs, and they're keeping their seats. So, like, I don't know, man. We are doomed. We're in a bad spot. We're in a bad
Yeah.
spot.
The last thing I would say on this whole Biden thing is, if you ask me to handicap, what's going to happen in terms of like Biden, whether he's going to stay and get out or whatever, he's not getting out. I put it
He
at
Oh,
shouldn't.
he's
He
not,
shouldn't.
and he
He
shouldn't.
yeah,
absolutely
I
shouldn't.
put it at like 90% that he's not getting out. And and
And
and I
Of
mean,
course not. He has to save his
like to your
son.
point,
it's
and to your
possible he
point, it
could.
wasn't that bad. To your
Yeah,
point, it wasn't that bad, and he actually got more support. And thankfully, there might be more people out there than you think like you,
yeah.
that realize we can't just do that all willy nilly.
And he gave a speech the next day that was a really, really good speech.
Yep.
You should check
North
it out
Carolina.
if you, yeah,
Hmm.
in Raleigh, North Carolina. But the point I was making is that I don't think Biden's getting out. So at the end of the day, on November 5th, your choice is going to be Donald Trump for the Republican Party, or um, Joe Biden. There's
Or
a saying.
Donald Trump for the Independent Party.
There's a saying in politics, and it kind of speaks to what EJ has been saying, and it says that Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line, right? And so you had J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio. He wasn't a senator back then, in 2016, comparing Donald Trump to Hitler. Marco Rubio called him a con man. All the stuff that these people said about him, and now all of them have gotten in line.
Now they're the
Joe
favorites
Biden
for
is
vice president,
Joe
especially
Biden is our
Rubio.
nominee. He is going to remain our nominee. So get in line and vote for him. There are two people on the ballot in November that have a shot at being president. One of them is an adjudicated rapist who's been convicted of 34 felony counts, who's awaiting trial in Georgia, Florida, and Washington, D.C. for more crimes, who has surrounded himself with nothing but criminals throughout his candidacy and presidency. The other guy is Joe Biden. Go fucking vote for him.
And we might still make history. We might get a black woman if you vote for him. Sometime in that 4 years, because Joe not looking so good, man. He's not looking stable. And you hope for the best, but my boy, maybe at 83 he just steps down instead. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying he dies, but he might hand it off. Pass the reins, pass the baton. Kamala could get it done. They got to get her in front of people. There's no
Kamala.
reason she should. Come
They're
on,
getting her
it
out there
should.
more, but they
Yeah,
they heard the people who. So the vice president doesn't really hire their own staff. They like even the vice president's staff works for the president, right? But because the vice president works for the president, but the people who staff her they're terrible at their jobs. Kamala Harris, after the debate, was great, going out there defending Biden. And every network they gave her to, they only gave her to them for 5 minutes. And it's like you get in, quick hit, out, you know. And they need to let her get out there more, because we're seeing that, Biden is struggling. You know what I mean? They need to get Kamala out there more.
What happened to the Chucks? What happened to the Chucks? We had such a movement with that.
I mean, it was pandering.
No, I mean the Chucks wasn't. No, the Chucks wasn't pandering. I mean, she's black and she wear Chucks. That's different. But the whole movement, she used one of the biggest networks that she could possibly have. There are nearly probably 1 million AKs worldwide. Not to mention the Deltas, the Zetas, the SG Rose, all behind them. You're talking about prominent black women all across this world that make the world move. Not to mention the fraternities that couple that. She has a lane that she tapped into to get the seat. The problem that we see often with these Democrats is they get there and they don't know, or they forget, or they just don't tap back into it. And that's what made Obama so phenomenal. He never lost touch. Never lost touch. Kamala, tap into the network. Get the Chucks. I mean, she has the rappers at her house and the picnic and all of that. And that's cool. I mean, it's invite only, but we the people don't really see all of that. She brings the SGA presidents in. That was smart. Yeah. But keep it going. Just keep it going. Keep it going. We need it. We need all of the publicity we can get.
We need the sassy Kamala, and we need her in front of the world being sassy, just like she was to Mike Pence. Like when she got sassy with Mike Pence, I feel like she went viral and people were like, oh, I could deal with Auntie. You know what I'm saying? I could deal with Auntie as a vice.
They got to put her out there more.
Unfortunately, this is the times. This is the times we're in.
Even at a risk of potentially overshadowing Joe Biden, I think she needs to be out there more.
Yep.
Right. And maybe you want her to overshadow, right? Especially if it's in a good way, because people are worried about whether he's going to make another 4. And you don't know what it looks like if he's not there. So Kamala needs to get out there and show people, I can do this. And people need to be able to trust her.
Yeah.
I'm for it. Let's make history.
Yeah.
The first female president.
We got the first female on the Iron Throne. We should have the first female as president. Maybe if she had dragons, right? She can get it done.
Maybe if she had dragons is wild. I like it.
She got to send. What's her husband name?
Damon.
No, Kamala.
Damon. Oh, Doug.
Oh,
she got to send Doug away to the brothel, like she sent Damon away. Damon was ready to smack her, huh? Damon was like, "Bitch, the fuck you talking to?
He said, what?
Right? There ain't no feminism in these ages, bitch. We got dragons around here."
He said, your father was afraid of me.
He was a little bitch. Your father was my brother was a little bitch ass.
Well, he was mad as shit. She was talking. Yo, I felt like she was gonna get slapped, yo.
But she was talking. She was close. I think HBO probably just didn't do it because, dog. Did you imagine? Oh, forget
it. Those two have really good chemistry on screen.
That backlash would have been wild.
It was fire.
Yeah, she's. I love her now, man. I don't know. I didn't really like her that much in the first season as an actress, but I don't know what she did in the off season. Maybe while they were off. I don't know. She hit the bag. She got bronze trainer over there. But
I think it's because you had less time to get to know her. You only got her for 5 episodes. Yeah, they did the time jump with young Rainier, old Rainier.
Or maybe also it's written differently. Like now, to your point, she's got not just the screen time, but she got more impactful bars, if you will, that she's spitting versus the other shit. Like she crazy. She looking a little crazy. What did y'all think of the last episode? Still slower than I would like.
She had one of her most. She had one of her most powerful episodes. The previous one, and only said like how many lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clearly being crafted for her to shine because this is her time. So
yeah. I thought last episode was good. I love the ending with the battle between
Eric
Eric
and
and
Eric.
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric.
She was trash. Eric and Eric. Eric and Eric.
But yeah, I love that battle. And what I loved about it was that one of the things that the book fans are waiting for is what's called Clegane Bowl. And that's with the Mountain and the Hound having their fight. Because that hasn't happened in the books yet. Everything's leading to it. And now that it's happened in the show, we think it's gonna happen in the books, right? Once the final two books come out, if they ever come out. But it was so terrible. It was terrible. That whole fighting with the castle falling down around them, this shit was awful.
I'm Team Hound, by the way.
but this fight was like so it was done good. It was done very well. And I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I liked the whole episode. I like how the showrunners of this show pay some homage to the original series, right? And they don't, it's not like it's not blatant, but like you hear, if you pay attention, you hear it. So like in the opening scene when Aegon's going crazy, destroying everything, right? And you hear him yell out, "I am the king! I am the king!" And that's a callback to season 3, the episode after the Red Wedding. Remember when Tyrion and Joffrey got into it, and Joffrey was like, "I am the king," and Tywin was like, "Any man who got to say I am the king is no true king." You know what I mean? And so I feel like, even though this show is a prequel, it's kind of a callback to that scene in the original series or whatever. So I love how they add little stuff like that in there for
nerds like you.
No, I thought it was definitely dope, especially the sequence of Daemon and our queen going back and forth. That was powerful, and it was frustrating also in the sense I felt myself getting frustrated because it's like she's so pissed off at this dude, and it's like, yo, you're pissed off at him because you think he wants your seat, when in reality, you know what I'm saying, this dude,
he out there trying to do work for you. He did do work for you.
He's the main reason you're alive, essentially.
But he also screwed her up because, like she said, you've done nothing to weaken my claim now. Because, I mean, whether it's fantasy writing 600 years ago in real life, today, people don't like dead babies like that. I don't like, people are not a fan of that. You know what I'm saying?
No,
yeah. And so, like if you think about in the beginning of the series with young Rhaenyra, we see that the people love her. They called her like the people's princess and stuff like that. The people, the small.
But where did that shit get her?
No, but that's my point, though, right? So now they march the kid through the street, and they're like, Rhaenyra, the baby killer, and people are like, Rhaenyra, she's a piece of shit. Blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? So like quick, he made her look bad.
But then they made themselves look bad after that by hanging all the damn
innocent guys, rat catchers.
Rat catchers.
But I think Daemon's perspective is we're at war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we're gonna do some shit to take this. We got to take this one way or the other. Like she's being a Democrat and they're being Republicans. He's like, yo,
Daemon is half Republican apparently.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I know what it takes to kill these people. Like,
and not only that, I feel like Daemon feels like we don't have to have a fight for the fucking throne. We don't have to have the people vote us in. Let's just go take that motherfucker. Exactly. They ain't got no choice. And then we run this shit the way we want to run it. Like
exactly.
Trump. Maybe I'm on the wrong side.
You know what? I was surprised that didn't get a lot of play on like on social media after the show, when my man Corliss basically showed everybody that he's a sub sometimes.
What do you mean?
Remember he was in bed with Rhaenys, and he was like maybe Daemon don't like being bossed around by a woman. He was like, I enjoy it from time to time.
Yeah. Oh, and the other powerful scene, he was like, my grandson, and just going ham, and he was like, you know what, bitch, take your fucking take the hand off.
Yeah, that was wild. That was wild. No respect for Pop.
No respect.
You know what I did like though? It still was a slow episode, and I'm hoping they better get something going tonight. Um, even though we had the little fight between the brothers, but what I did like about the brothers piece is that they highlighted they put a highlight on what honor is, because he could have easily went at her. You know what I'm saying? Afterwards, and instead he kills himself.
Hmm?
He fell on the
No,
sword.
That was
no,
her
that
man.
was her guy. That was her
That was
guy.
her guy.
Oh, I got them niggas mixed up. I thought
That's
that
why
Yeah.
was
he apologized. That's why he
He
apologized to her
said,
because it
"My
was
your
like
grace."
he couldn't live with killing his brother. So he defeats his brother and then takes himself out.
I
Falls in
thought
love
it
Yeah.
with the
was
sword.
apologizing for going the other side.
No,
Nah, he would have tried to finish the mission if that was the case. It wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
Or
some
that
brother.
not,
was
But
that was
or
her.
I
fall on the
like.
sword.
No,
That was
That's
her
her
guy.
guy.
I liked how the chick was the only one that identified him in the armor and was like, "Excuse me, I need another opportunity to get some steak
Yeah,
here."
but that's also
Like,
because she had just left a room with him. Because
right,
when Rhaenyra frees her, she's in the room with him, and
right,
she's like, "Wait, this
right.
That,
dude was
that
just in
was
the castle. How the hell he's coming from
She's
the
like,
ship
"Wait a
now?"
minute." She's like, "Wait a
that
minute."
was that was a little whore, right? Or
Hmm.
Yeah,
the witch
the
from
white
the
worm.
brothel. Oh, so
She was
she's
like, "Hold
Mexican.
up, my nigga." I know. She was like, "Hold up, hold up, my boy."
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
you pretty
Yeah,
quick, huh? Um,
so I mean, I liked it. I liked it. You know, I like where it's going. You know, they're doing a little bit of a foreshadowing with stuff. You know, so
That was a fire plan though, on the low, because it had not been for her, she was out. She was out of there.
oh
yeah.
yeah, it was worth it. It would have worked.
Yep. My boy was not gonna
Um,
miss. He was close. And she
But I
just
mean, it
said
but
to
also
do
kind
your
of
own
shows you
thing.
though, like you know, like I just mentioned some foreshadowing, right? And you know, when they tell Otto about this, he was like, "And you agreed to this prank?" Because he's like, you know, come on, dog. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, now he's put the guy who came up with this prank in charge of stuff.
mhm.
And so, you know, yeah.
We never saw
But it wasn't a bad plan though. It almost worked. Had it not been for this one broad, it would have worked.
and those pesky kids and their dog. Um, we never
uh,
saw Damon after seeing him fly out of the castle, right?
mm-mm.
No, he'll be back
He's supposedly going to go
to Harrenhal.
galvanize some troops, right?
Hmm.
I think we see him tonight. I
Nigga
hope
about
we
to
see him tonight.
think about to
Well,
go to
I don't know
King's
if we'll see
Landing
him
and set
tonight,
it off.
but we'll see him back. And
Of course, we're gonna see him back, but they need to come on,
you
man. They need to come on. They starting to lose me. I fell asleep on last week's episode and had to
just
watch it the next day.
stay the course, Steve. Like
Mm.
I told you, there's
You
some
told me
things that are
that
going
with
to be
you told
happening.
me that with my student loans too.
Yo,
Vote for
oh
this
man.
guy.
Never a moment,
Hello,
never misses
darkness,
a
my
moment.
old friend. but
Misses a
but
moment.
there's some stuff that's coming with Damon's character. Like I told you in the off season, if they do it right, man, this is going to be some of the best TV that we've seen if they do it right.
I fuck with
And
Damon,
these
man.
folks they've been doing a good job so far. So I can't wait. I'm excited.
I like it. I like
I
it.
like I like Damon, man. I want that. I want to see him on just because he's he's about that life. He's about that life. At least
I
on the
love his
show.
character.
Do you guys know
I
anything
love his
about this
character.
Allen character? The two black guys they keep showing, the black guy with the dreads and the bald one.
Mm-mm.
Didn't they save Homeboy when the whatever
Yeah,
the
Allen's the one who the bald one is the one who saved Corley's from pulled them out the water. Okay,
yeah.
I'll just leave it there. Since I didn't know if you guys knew anything about them, so I'll leave that.
Some other things, man. I've been watching Perfect Match on Netflix.
Finished it.
Yeah, that was good. Good
VP,
TV.
yo, VP be sleeping, yo. You know what it is? Why we gotta
Good TV.
force him to watch ass and we gotta force him to watch ass and titties. But when you know, then he start watching the show. The first thing he'd be like, "Ah, there's no titties. I can't watch it." Oh, I'm telling you, Jess is on there.
Oh man,
I'm gonna
yo,
watch it. I just,
Jess and what's the other dude's name? Steve.
Harry.
Brian,
No, Jess and the dude she didn't like. They went out on a
Justin,
date. No,
Matthew.
Oh, he's a
it's
cornball.
no,
You way up there, Isaac.
but that's the one. That's the one she needs though.
That is what she needs.
The
That is
that's the
exactly what
dude
she
she
needs.
needs.
Yeah.
And she's heartbroken over the douchebag Harry. And yeah, I mean, she needed the dude. No, his
Yo,
name is not
Harry.
Isaac.
Yeah.
His name is something else.
But ask yourself this,
Isaac.
EJ. You done seen Jess on the other show. I can't Love is Blind.
Yeah.
She falls for a cornball in Jimmy, right? That was his name, Jimmy. And now you're saying she's on this show and she's falling for a cornball, right? Not to
No,
mention,
she fell for the biggest douchebag
right?
Yo,
historically
Jimmy was a
that's been on the
cornball.
show.
People douchebag. This new guy in Perfect Match, you're saying, is a douchebag. Not to mention, she has a kid that she's not with the father, so something happened there, right?
Yeah, but she went on a date with a dude that would have
It
probably
sounded like
been.
she got a type.
Yeah. Yeah, she wants that douchebag D. She just don't want the douchebag D on TV because it's gonna be there forever. And she is in fact trying to show
Damn.
well for her
His,
daughter, but
his name is Izzy, isn't it? Steve? Izzy?
yeah, Izzy, same thing. Isaac,
Yeah.
Izzy.
Yeah.
FYI, I'm having some lightning and thundering in case I drop.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark here too. I have to hit the movies or something. Um,
Yeah, he's the guy she really need, and I don't know, man.
he might be
But
too
totally,
corny though. He might be too corny. He's
yeah,
whack.
she'll run all over the top of him, but
Yeah.
that's the guy she needs though.
But
Tolu has
yo,
the fatty.
how about I hate Tolu, yo. She gotta go.
Yeah, I didn't
Well,
like her in
I've seen it. But I mean, she gotta
I
go
didn't
from
like her in the
Netflix
other show,
shows.
so I'm pretty sure I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like her in this.
No, you're gonna dislike her even more. Like she is, terrible, yo. You could tell she's for the money. Like I feel like her and homeboy that she was matched with. I feel like they had a
Chris.
conversation. They were just like, yo, you pick me. We're just gonna pick each other, and we're gonna see this through to the end, so we win. Like it felt like that's what they did the whole time. There was no real
And the
chemistry. I
craziest
don't
part,
think.
the youngest couple, far as who was together, actually got the perfect match.
Right.
That largely because everybody was being petty to each other. But
But what about the white girl that the white girl that was trying to hold my boy down from London town.
you, I know Maya something with an M. Micah.
Yeah, yeah.
Micah.
She got that thing on her, boy.
Hmm.
She got the biggest thing on the show.
Yeah.
When she ended up rematching, and then
Hmm.
they show her real quick getting something before she got back in the bed, and she just had her drawers on.
Hmm.
Dog, that thing is danging. Oh, she was with Izzy too. Matter of fact, that night. That's
But
what it was.
she's a
Izzy a
scumbag too.
cornball.
She
She
got
is.
mad at the dude
She
from London because he kissed the
a
chick,
lot, a
but
lot.
just before she was about to switch with the dude in Louisiana. Nobody brought that up though. Like she was
Yeah.
about to go match with him. He was dirty
Yo.
macking the whole time.
Yeah. That
That
shit
shit was
crazy.
wild.
Harry's stupid though. I wouldn't have. Melinda's trash, yo. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
she
have.
was a bird.
I'm not risking that.
He wanted the yams though. I can't be mad at him with that.
Yeah,
He
he
wanted the
dumb.
yams.
But Alara, dog, I'm telling you, she is the one. She the
Yeah,
one,
she's
and
fire. She's fire.
she got her little machine gun Kelly.
Yeah. Painted nails, all that. But some other things I've
Oh
been
yeah,
watching. The Boys. The Boys is highly overrated. That show is
I
highly
keep saying I
overrated.
want to start it, and I just can't never bring myself to start it.
It's highly overrated, dog. Like I literally skipped a whole season just to start
people love
watching
that
this
shit.
season. It's just gory. But 95%
Oh,
of
okay.
the 95% of the episode, it's a bunch of talking to nothing. It's just boring as shit. When it is action, it's very gory. But other than that, it's nothing really to it. It's kind of
So
boring, man, to be honest.
I'm gonna still watch it, I think, because I don't mind dialogue heavy shows if the acting is good.
It's
Like
not.
Succession.
It's not.
Succession is dialogue heavy. You know what I'm
But
saying?
and it's
But the
great
writing is
acting.
good, the acting is good.
No, The Boys is like it's
The
just
shit
people
is
having
bad.
monologues just to
Shit is
have
bad.
monologues and nothing goes anywhere. It's bad. It's a bad show. It's a bad show. I really don't like it. But I'm
When you
watching
get
it. I'm
to season 4, Steve Shiv is actually pregnant in the show.
Oh, is she? Like in real
I mean,
life?
not in real life. So like
Oh,
everything
and
is just like
Bangs is milky.
it's like, yo, I thought last season, yo.
Yo, the way that show even kicked off was crazy from
Yeah.
the locker room scene.
Succession.
But Ghost Power Book, that's doing what it's doing. The Bear just came back on Hulu for those that are fans. I
I
didn't
saw
like
Is that a
Power.
reality show? The Bear?
the Bear,
No,
It's a
The
drama.
commercials, it looks like it's a reality show.
Nah.
it looks that way because he's like he's running a restaurant. He's like a restaurant
Mm,
runner type shit.
Okay.
I didn't like the first episode at all.
EJ, what you think happens with Power next? I'm caught up. I knew that her saying Tariq was the father was gonna save her. Like I knew that was coming. I knew
Well,
that
shit,
from last episode.
Really Monet saved her because Tariq was gonna kill her.
I think if Monet didn't pop up, she would have told him. She would have told him. I
I
think
think
I
he
think
still was
Monet
gonna kill her.
basically pulled the words out of her mouth.
I think he still was gonna shoot her. I think he still was gonna shoot her. But
Pregnant?
yeah, Tyreek is on demon time right now.
Yeah, he
He
That
wild.
killed
boy's
his
on
dad, so
demon time.
I can't imagine he'll
That's
oppose,
true.
killing a pregnant woman.
Nah, Tyreek is on demon time right now. My boy body and everything. He got
I gotta
Well,
get on it.
body
they're gonna
already.
they're gonna ride they're gonna ride this last season, and I think because they're gonna give us a mid-season finale, which is coming in 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll probably be gone till January, and then we'll probably get the rest in early next year.
Oh, this is the
But
final season or
this is the
final?
final season. Yeah, it's
Okay,
final season of this
I
of
might
this
This
wait
show.
then
chapter.
so I can binge watch the whole thing.
He
Wait, of this chapter or the whole thing?
of this chapter. Because there's more
Oh,
there's more still out there. We're gonna get the final season of Tommy Force,
Mm-hmm.
which they canceled everything after this last season, and then we're getting another Tommy Ghost
The
show
prequel. The
prequel to
prequel.
Tommy Ghost. So there's more chapters coming, and 50 said he got more chapters beyond that potentially. So
so
um,
he done made a cinematic universe.
he must listen to the pod when I told him to do it. Um,
Yeah.
EJ, what I'm hoping though is I'm hoping that they find a way to make this in the second half of the season end off somehow with like I don't know, man. Tommy's got to get back to this somehow.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a point where Braden and Tariq are going to need Tommy, and he's going to have to get back to this
Mm-hmm.
because you can't just end Force and we're done with him. Like, and he better not die in Force. Like
Right.
he's almost like Tyrion to me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if he has to be around for power to live on beyond wherever it goes.
Absolutely.
Uh, but they got to find a way to write him back in to New York.
Absolutely. And I mean, you haven't caught up with Raising Canaan, but I think they have an opportunity when they do this prequel to because they're gonna keep Raising Canaan going, and you're gonna find a point in time where both of those shows are gonna intersect.
Oh, where
They're
Kanan
gonna
intersect with the prequel of Ghost and Tommy,
yeah,
and we see
yeah,
how they come apart. Okay,
yeah, because they're Ghost and Tommy are under Canaan, and Kanan's on the breeze, who is Joey Badass, and so it all has a potential to really connect and flow. And I think some things that they're also doing in Ghost is trying to connect people back to that series. So I mean, it we might get a lot more projects out of this. So I don't know. It's very interesting.
yeah.
Very interesting.
Um, okay. The
What else?
Bear.
The Bear. It was a good show. I don't really like this first episode at all. I'm gonna try to go back and rewatch it, but I don't know that it's gonna carry on. Like, I don't know how much more you can get out of a show, about a restaurant. Like, I don't know. It's doing too much for me. So I don't know if it'll
Yeah,
work
I don't
out.
know. Cheers was pretty good.
It's
Yeah,
a
but
bar.
it's a bar and it was a comedy. This is like they
Oh, this is like
focus
a
so
drama.
much. Yeah, it's like a drama,
Oh,
and it's basically a restaurant owner who took over this restaurant, his brother who died, and he was a top tier beard award winning chef at one point, and he had a fall, and then now the restaurant they it's cool. I don't know that I don't know that's gonna be something that's gonna last. I don't know. In the first
gotcha,
episode, I didn't like it at all. I gotta rewatch it.
gotcha.
Yo, Joe
Yeah, for
Biden
me, I
could
haven't.
probably win this election if he just fucking regulate the insurance companies because these prices are fucking stupid.
Yeah, these premiums are like in fucking insane. But I mean, insurance premiums are regulated by the state. So, you know, once DeSantis defeats the woke, pretty sure he's going to get around to insurance premiums.
Right. Of course.
You got priorities. You know what I mean? First
Well,
things first.
he signed 200 bills yesterday, they said online.
I didn't see that. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't. I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
But
What you been watching?
yeah, for me, I haven't been watching anything
Oh,
new.
one of them was extended hours for 16-year-olds, by the way.
Oh yeah, insurance premiums. We'll get to that. Child labor. Who needs that? Who needs regulations on child labor?
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What else you been watching, VP?
No, House of the Dragon and basically Abbott Elementary finished that up. That's actually was already done, but I watch it. I let myself get behind on it on purpose so that way I can like have it longer. I guess
Mhm.
this is at least the way it plays out in my head. But yeah, I checked that out, and then I almost restarted watching Breaking Bad, and then I stopped myself from doing it. So because I've only seen it the one time. So
Don't go back to it. It's whack. I watched. I watched Caught Up on Power and obviously House of Dragon. I finished. Did you finish whatchamacallit on Netflix, EJ? Perfect Match. Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
did
finished.
obviously because you knew
I
who won.
finished that one season. Yeah, but there's another one right back to back on it. There's
What are
a
you talking
new
about?
season. It's a new season right after it.
a perfect
What are you
match.
talking about?
They
I think
they,
you.
they
I think they started you on the old one.
Yeah,
oh,
that's what they
maybe
do.
so.
If you
Maybe
if
They
you
so.
might have bounced
start
you back. Did you
if
ever
you
watch the
start
first
in
one?
season 2, they when you get done, they'll take you back to season 1.
So the
Did you?
only reason I thought it was a new one because after that season where the new couple just won, Nick
Yeah.
Lachey comes in and says something about like they have a whole clip that's in that series, and he says something. I don't know. So I don't know. I gotta go back and see. I don't know.
They might be
Did you ever?
previewing. They might be previewing a new season, but I don't think it's out yet.
Did you?
Okay.
Did you ever see the first one? Go if you haven't, go watch the
I
first one. The
felt
first
like
one
I
is just
have.
the first one is just as good. Um, Dom won that one.
Mm.
So if in case you anyway, we started Lioness yesterday also. The Zoe Saldana joint.
It was
Never heard
good.
of
It
it.
was cool. I watched it. I watched
V,
it when it came
VP,
out a
you
long
would
time
like it.
ago.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
And it
it's gonna
looked
piss you off though.
don't say anything more. I'm only like 3 episodes in, but yo, that shit is wild, yo. VP, you would like it because it's about the Marines,
Oh, I don't
sort
know.
of, sort of.
I don't usually like. Yeah, it's only 2 seasons of Perfect Match. I just went on Netflix to see.
But so we started Lioness, and I'm about 2.5 episodes. Fell asleep after it's in the middle of the third. But
So it's about a WM.
sure,
You said it's called Lioness.
Yeah, so it's virtually about a
They're
special ops
tech ops, yeah.
team, and
How
yeah,
they're prepping this
listen,
bitch. At least where I'm at.
Okay, so it is about a WM.
White male?
listen,
No, it's women.
Woman Marine.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is.
listen. I'll just let you watch it. I've been watching Mayor of Kingstown also, which is also getting more unreal by the day.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
It'll be off the air pretty soon.
That's it. That's all I've been watching. Nothing else. I thought I did start something else, but I can't remember, so I'll save it for next week anyway. All right. Well, if nothing else, VP, I'll hand it to you.
All right, good people. We definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us this week on this week's episode of the Cast for the Podcast, last day of June 2024 in the books. As always, man, reach out to your folks, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to people, let them know. You know, let them know you're thinking about them. They sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. We
EJ,
got
check the
messages
chat.
in our group
Check
chat. But yeah, as always, man, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your people, let them know you're thinking about them. Pretty sure they'll appreciate it, and you'll feel good for doing it too. You never know where people are in life, and you never know what's going on in somebody's head. So definitely reach out to folks, check on them, let them know you care about them. With that said, man, as always, you can find us on all podcasting platforms by searching Castworthy. You can also follow us on any social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram is at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend and tell a friend. Help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And with that being said, man, we will see you guys next week with another fresh episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace. Olympic trials on also, by the way, if you're into that kind of thing.
Indeed. I can't end it. I'm not on my account. I'm not on his account. I'm trying to tell him that. Let me see.
I can't.
Yeah, I can't.